in Konoha. At first, I annihilated the Sarutobi clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51. First meeting with Orochimaru. Why do you want to hide your identity? Uchiha Itachi asked expressionlessly. Kainai, on the other hand, looked at the ninjutsu scrolls collected from the Uchiha family and the Sarutobi family, and listened quietly to Obito's nonsense. Because it would be troublesome if people knew that Uchiha Madara was still alive. Next, I will take you to see the leader of Akatsuki. At this point, he glanced at Kainai and said in a deep voice, "Did you hear that? Kainai. I know, your name is Afei, not Uchiha Madara. From now on, you are a trainee for 2.5 years. You are an intern of the Akatsuki organization. We are formal members, and you are a younger brother." Kainai yawned and said perfunctorily. Obito's face under the mask showed a pound sign, and he was secretly angry, but helpless. He found that this was an extremely black-bellied guy, who usually pretended to be elegant, kind and polite in Konoha. In fact, he had a more evil taste in his heart than anyone else. Even he couldn't guess what the other party was thinking, and what his purpose was. His strength was still unfathomable. For such a person, he didn't know whether it was the right choice to invite him to the Akatsuki organization. Soon, the three of them came to a building at the end of the river. This was a temporary gathering place of the Akatsuki organization in the Rain Village. Something like a clock tower. Kainai, including Zetsuyu, met before. The Akatsuki organization currently has 9 official members. They don't gather together frequently. Among them, there are some ninjas with strength comparable to that of the cage. Of course, because the Akatsuki organization has just started, there are also some ninjas whose strength is only at the level of Jonin. Such people usually don't live long in the organization. I hope you are mentally prepared. Looking at the clock tower that was close at hand, Obito explained. I don't care. I just need you to give me a place to safely place Izumi. Kainai put away the scroll and shrugged slightly. Uchiha Itachi still had a blank expression on his face. Then go in. After the boat docked, Obito got off the boat first and immediately changed his posture, dancing and walking into the tower. Kainai and Itachi followed closely behind. As soon as he entered the door, Kainai saw an expected person, Orochimaru. Oh, isn't this Itachi? Long time no see. Orochimaru slowly walked out of the shadows, his voice hoarse and slightly feminine. Long black hair, golden vertical pupils, purple eyeshadow extending to the wings of the nose, pale skin, and blue Magatama earrings. Even in Akatsuki clothes, he still gives people a sinister feeling, which is no different from Kainai's impression of Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru? At this time, Itachi was a rookie and still respected Orochimaru. When he saw the latter, his face immediately showed a look of surprise. By the way, the three of you are from the same hometown, right? And Senior Chiya is also one of you. It's a reunion that I miss so much. Seeing this, Obito, who had transformed into a scoundrel, suddenly showed an extremely second-year attitude, and even his voice changed. Orochimaru ignored Obito and continued to say to Itachi, I heard that, Itachi, you are indeed a ninja from this side. This side? Uchiha Itachi showed a puzzled expression. A ninja who regards the village, companions, family and other relationships as a burden. And this one is also one of them. Orochimaru pondered for a moment and turned his eyes to Chiya behind Obito. The initiator of the extermination of the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan. The outside world has rumors that you were framed and actually died in the Uchiha clan extermination. I didn't expect that you are still alive. As he spoke, Orochimaru's golden vertical pupils obscurely swept across a hint of murderous intent. Although he said that he had completely severed his relationship with Konoha and even later implemented the Konoha collapse plan and killed Sarutobi Hiruzen with his own hands. But whether it was Sarutobi Hiruzen or Orochimaru, both sides more or less retained a trace of teacher-student affection in their hearts. In the original novel, Sarutobi Hiruzen deliberately held back when Orochimaru defected. When Konoha collapsed, Orochimaru held Sarutobi Hiruzen hostage with a kunai and shed tears. This is the best evidence. Now that the teacher's family has been destroyed, if you say that Orochimaru has no emotion towards Kainai in his heart, no one would believe it. Oh, I never thought that Lord Orochimaru, one of the famous three ninjas, could actually know a small person like me. It's really a blessing. Feeling the murderous intent emanating from Orochimaru's pupils, Kainai was not afraid and took a step forward. His eyes suddenly narrowed and turned cold in an instant, but I seemed to sense a murderous intent from Lord Orochimaru just now. Could it be that you want to avenge your teacher's family? Facing Kainai's eyes, the snake's instinct made Orochimaru feel a little palpitated for some reason. He was secretly surprised in his heart that this little kid could actually sense my murderous intent. It seems that he is not an ordinary little kid. He immediately changed the subject and said with a smile, Kainai-kun is really good at joking. I'm just curious about you. After all, you destroyed the third Hokage family, which is known as the strongest Kage among the 5 major countries, and the Danzo family, the leader of the root, which is known as the Dark of the Ninja World, the strongest Kage. Kainai raised a trace of sarcasm and disdain at the corner of his mouth. I have no objection to you saying that Danzo, the guy who is not good at anything and is the best at internal fighting, is the Dark of the Ninja World. After all, that old bastard killed and forced away many Konoha ninjas in order to become Hokage. He deserves the title of Dark of the Ninja World. But that old bastard Sarutobi Hiruzen, the strongest Kage, is he worthy of it? At best, he is just a dead bone in a grave. He still shamelessly gave himself the title of the strongest Hokage of all generations. If he had that ability, he wouldn't have been weak to the outside world and heavy punches at home all the time. They keep saying that where the leaves of Konoha dance, fire will also continue, and the shadow of the fire will illuminate the village and make new leaves sprout. But what's the reality? They have caused the decline of Konoha's talents, suppressed other families everywhere, and persecuted powerful ninjas. They have also taken all the nutrients to the Sarutobi family. Do you know how many people I killed in the Sarutobi family this time? 2,753 people. More than 80% of them are ninjas, and they are all unfamiliar faces. I have never met them in any dangerous missions. My goodness, in terms of the number of people, this has reached the sum of the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan before their extermination. After experiencing the 3 ninja world wars, other families have become weaker and weaker. Only the Sarutobi family has endured and has become stronger and stronger. TSK, let them continue to develop. In a few years, I'm afraid that Konoha village will develop into Sarutobi village. Speaking of which, the vast majority of Konoha compatriots should thank me. After all, I have eliminated the termites that have been gnawing at the big tree of Konoha for them. At the end, Kainai pretended to take out a bottle of drinking water from his bosom and drank it all. Orochimaru, Uchiha Chiya and even Obito were already dumbfounded, and for a moment, they didn't know what to say. Especially Uchiha Chiya, who almost overturned his previous understanding of the third Hokage. Kainai's words were really too shocking. Not to mention this middle school boy who was brainwashed by the Konoha high-level officials. Even the cunning Orochimaru and Obito who thought he was in control of everything almost dropped their jaws. PS. The third update. Chapter 52 Living with Xiaonan. It seems that Kainai-kun has a deep grudge against the third Hokage. Orochimaru said with a wry smile, breaking the silent atmosphere in the field. Of course, if that old guy hadn't broken his promise and teamed up with the old dog Danzo to kill me, I wouldn't have chosen to defect. After all, who likes to live in fear like this? Isn't it nice to be a Konoha Jonin, do missions, earn commissions, and live a stable life? Kainai sighed helplessly, spread his hands, and showed a harmless expression. This made Orochimaru and the other to twitch their mouths. If you don't know, you might think that it wasn't him who wiped out the whole family of others, but that others wiped out his whole family. It seems that the ninjas from Konoha get along well. A majestic and domineering voice suddenly sounded in the tower. As soon as the voice fell, a young man with blackmails all over his face walked in. Behind him was a young woman. Light blue purple hair, beautiful and cold face, and a beautiful figure. This is a young woman who is a few years older than Kurenoi Yuhi. In terms of beauty, she is no less than Kurenoi Yuhi. Even with Kainai's calmness, he couldn't help but be slightly distracted, and sighed in his heart that the world of Naruto is indeed a place where beauties abound. It's a pity that few have a good ending. P.S. Yingbi doesn't count. In King Gio's eyes, she is not a beauty. But since I'm here, I have to give all the young ladies a good home. Chief Orochimaru greeted him symbolically, and Obito, who turned into a fairy, had slipped away at some point. Pain didn't care about Orochimaru's attitude, waved his hand, and Orochimaru left very tactfully. For Pain, as long as Orochimaru doesn't make trouble and completes the tasks he assigned, it will be fine. The lavender samurai swept over Kainai and Itachi one after another, and Pain said, I'm the leader of the Akatsuki organization, Pain, codenamed Zero. You can call me the leader, or Pain, or Zero. Akatsuki's goal is world peace, and Akatsuki will dominate the world instead of the 5 major countries. What a big wish. Itachi commented lightly. Kainai expressed his own opinion. It's a good wish, but as long as the ninja village system exists in this world, there will be no real peace. The reason is that the system is at work. If there is no production and commissions are earned by completing tasks, once peace is achieved, the income of the ninja village will be reduced. Frictions will break out between countries, and they will find ways to create chaos. The Ninja World War came because of this. Uchiha Itachi, who was standing aside, heard this and showed a look of disapproval. Kainai glanced at him, folded his arms, and said, don't think I'm talking nonsense. The reason why you can't agree is that your vision is still stuck on Konoha. Konoha already occupies the best land resources. And the old guy Sarutobi Hiruzen is a guy who is content with the status quo and naturally yearns for peace. But those ninjas who live in barren lands or years of war don't think so. They also want to get better resources and a better living environment. Otherwise, who would have nothing better to do and go to the battlefield? I think the leader who was born in the Rain Village should feel the same way. That's right. Pain nodded, and there was a hint of interest in his eyes when he looked at Kainai. Kainai continued, the reason is nothing more than a historical legacy. If the first Hokage was willing to join forces with Uchiha Madara to unify the ninja world and reorganize all countries and ninja villages, instead of naively trying to move others with the will of fire, there wouldn't be so many troubles later. At the first 5 Shadows Summit, the reason why everyone was able to sign a peace treaty was just because they were intimidated by the strength of the first Hokage. It was not mutual understanding. After the death of the first Hokage, the first Ninja World War broke out. This is the best proof. Hearing this, the scene fell into a brief silence. After a moment, Pain spoke first and asked Kainai, then how do you think we can achieve permanent peace? I don't know. Kainai shook his head. Even if the world is unified and a complete system is established, it is not just temporary. As long as there is a supernatural phenomenon like chakra, the world will not be able to achieve permanent peace, and the ambitious people who gain power will continue to flood. People like the real villain Danzo and the hypocrite Sarutobi Hiruzen are just the tip of the iceberg of this era. I see. Pain nodded thoughtfully and returned to the topic. Akatsuki's goal is world peace, and Akatsuki will replace the 5 major countries to dominate the world. To this end, we have gathered outstanding ninjas, regardless of their origins and backgrounds. Itachi and Chiya from Konoha, welcome you. Hearing this, Chiya and Itachi tacitly took off their forehead protectors and cut a knife on them, which represented that they had completely drawn a line with Konoha. Seeing this scene, Pain handed out 2 rings that only formal members of the Akatsuki organization could have. Uchiha Itachi's ring was still red, and Chiya got the ring Blow of Deidara in the original work. This will also be their code names in the Akatsuki organization in the future. Pain said, from now on, your code names in the Akatsuki organization will be ZHU and King. These 2 rings have the function of communication and must be worn at all times. In addition, when on action, you must also wear the exclusive clothing of the Akatsuki organization. At present, the Akatsuki organization is still in the development stage, and this is conducive to promoting the reputation of our Akatsuki organization. In addition, nail polish must be applied. I will send someone to send these 2 things to you later. Well, your red cloud and black clothes are good, but you don't need to apply nail polish. A grown man applies this kind of thing. Kayanai put the ring on the index finger of his right hand, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Before he finished speaking, Pain's unquestionable voice sounded in his ears. No. Okay then. Kayanai sighed helplessly, and then said, then I wonder if you can arrange a safe and independent residence for me. I need to place it with my childhood friend. Of course. Protecting Akatsuki members and their families is the consistent policy of Akatsuki. Your residence is in the tower on the highest floor of Akatsuki. Except for me and Zayanan, no one is allowed to enter or leave. Pain nodded. Are there any precautions? Kayanai vaguely remembered that the highest tower in the Rain Village was where Nagato and Konan lived. To some extent, it is indeed the safest place in the ninja world so far. Of course, the premise is that Kayanai has been alive and has not betrayed the Akatsuki organization. It seems that Obito is still worried about Kayanai. He specially put Kayanai under the surveillance of the samurai. Pain said, of course. The top floor is my residence. Except for my partner Konan, no one is allowed to go up. As for other places, it's up to you whether to practice or relax, as long as you don't destroy the buildings inside. P.S. First update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 53 Madam, wake up. Zayanan, take him there. Pain looked at Uchiha Itachi. As for Itachi, I will make other arrangements for your accommodation. Come with me, newcomer. Zayanan looked at Kayanai expressionlessly, turned around and walked out of the tower. Kayanai followed closely. Not long after, Kayanai was arranged to a more luxurious suite. There are 3 bedrooms, a living room, a bathroom, and a kitchen. Almost everything you need. It is hard to imagine that such luxurious facilities are equipped in the dim clock tower. This is much better than the Japanese wooden house of Uchiha that doesn't even have a bed. By the way, are the rooms of Akatsuki members so luxurious? They are almost catching up with our presidential suite. As soon as he entered the room, Kayanai lay down directly and said comfortably, no, this is just a special case. It is a special care from me and the leader to you. Zayanan said lightly. Is it because of Danzo? Kayanai put his hands under his head, glanced at Zayanan, and said casually, it seems that you know a lot. Zayanan narrowed his eyes slightly, and a dangerous arc flashed across his pupils. Don't look at me like that. After all, I have been an Anbu in Konoha for a year. I still know a lot about the darkness of Konoha, otherwise I would not have made up my mind to defect so easily. Kayanai stood up suddenly with a somersault. After a slight sense, he confirmed that there was no surveillance in the dark, and said seriously, Senior Zayanan, I guess you are also suspicious of the identity of the masked man. What does this mean? Zayanan frowned. Nothing, I just want to make a deal with you. Kayanai smiled. What deal? Zayanan became interested. I can help you secretly investigate the identity of the masked man. You and the leader just need to help me keep a secret. While speaking, Kayanai made a symbolic seal with both hands, and released Uchiha Izumi and Uchiha Makoto from the system warehouse. Because Kayanai pressed the sleep acupoints, they are still in a coma. Kayanai put the 2 on the bed, first pointed at Uchiha Izumi, then pointed at Uchiha Makoto, and introduced, this is my childhood friend. I don't need to introduce him too much. You have investigated it clearly. As for the other one, he is also a member of the Uchiha clan. For some reason, I saved him. Even the masked man, the pitcher plant, and the filial son who killed his father and mother don't know this. I can secretly help you investigate the identity of the masked man. The condition is that you help me conceal the existence of this beauty. Protect her and Izumi's absolute safety. How about it? Zayanan looked at Uchiha Izumi, and then at Uchiha Makoto, neither refusing nor agreeing. I need to ask the leader. Then I will wait for good news. Kayanai chuckled. In fact, with his mirror flower and water moon, it is a simple thing to hide it from Obito and Zetsu. But Nagato is not so easy to fool. The activation condition of the mirror flower and water moon requires both eyes to see the release. Because of the inconvenience of his legs, Nagato never shows his true body. The most he could do was to hypnotize 6 paths of pain. With Nagato's powerful perception of the Uzumaki clan, it would be a piece of cake to send such a Makoto in this clock tower. Instead of that, it would be better to be frank. Anyway, they are not completely on the same page with Obito. Conan went quickly and came back quickly and also brought Akatsuki uniforms, red cloud black robes, wind chime hats, and nail polish. The leader has agreed. But if you reveal your tracks, it will have nothing to do with us. Conan still said expressionlessly. Of course. Kanai took the Akatsuki robe and put it on directly, then made a pose that he thought was handsome and chuckled. How is it? This time, Xiaonan was completely broken. Her cold and beautiful face finally relaxed a little. She suppressed her smile and said, "It looks good, but the action is a bit ugly. Okay, remember to go to the clock tower, where we will meet tomorrow morning. Peen will introduce you to other members of the Akatsuki organization and issue tasks. If you need anything, you can come to me directly. I live opposite you." As she spoke, Xiaonan turned and walked out of the room. Directly opposite? It really tests the Kadas. Which Kada can withstand such a test? Kainai whispered in his heart, sighed, walked into the room, and untied Uchiha Mikoto's acupuncture points. A moment later, Uchiha Mikoto woke up faintly and slowly opened her eyes. What came into view was the unfamiliar ceiling and Kainai, who had put on the red cloud black robe and had a knife mark on his forehead. "Madam, you're awake. First of all, I can't tell you where this is, and it won't do you any good to tell you. You just need to know that this is not Konoha, and we are out of danger. Then it's about your eldest son and youngest son. They are alive and well now. You probably won't be able to see your eldest son, otherwise, that filial son might kill you again for the so-called village, the so-called Uchiha glory. As for the youngest son, there is still a chance. But in the eyes of the world, you and Izumi are already dead. You won't be able to see your youngest son again in a short time. You will live here for a long time in the future. If you need anything, you can go to the girl who lives opposite. She will provide everything you need in the future. That's about it." Kanai briefly described the current situation. "Thank you." Mikoto was not a stupid person. She glanced at the Uchiha Izumi who was sleeping beside her and quickly understood. She immediately stood up and bowed to Kanai, expressing her gratitude respectfully. "Madam, you don't have to be so polite. This is all Kainai's responsibility. After all, I promised Uncle Fugaku that I would take good care of you." Kainai hurried forward to support Mikoto's arm and helped her up. Mikoto's beautiful eyes trembled and a trace of panic flashed in her eyes. An extremely dangerous picture emerged in her mind. Then she thought of Kainai, who was only 13 years old and had Izumi. She felt that she had thought too much. While she breathed a sigh of relief, she couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. She thought to herself, Kainai is a man who is willing to become a rebel ninja for Izumi. How can I be a villain and doubt him? At this moment, the long-lost system prompt sounded in Kainai's mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the system option. 1. Do not wake up Uchiha Izumi before the offense. Reward perfect wind attribute chakra and nature change. 2. Wake up Uchiha Izumi. The overlord holds a hard crossbow and punishes in front of Izumi and reward Rasengan series of ninjutsu. 3. If you don't wake up Uchiha Izumi, you will be punished together and you will be rewarded with the Haki of Pirate World. 4. If you wake up Uchiha Izumi, you will be punished together and you will be rewarded with the Haki of Pirate World. 5. If you do nothing, you are worse than an animal. Reward, I love a piece of firewood asterisk 99.99.99 PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 54 Prime Minister. I understand. Please choose. Kainai. Damn, I shouldn't have helped if I had known. Xiaonan lives across the street and she hasn't seen her own illusion yet. And if she does this, Izumi will be heartbroken. The key. Mikoto is not a casual woman. Once she forces herself, unless she threatens Sasuke, she may seek death every day. Alas, you can't become fat in one breath. Everything has to be done step by step. At this moment, Mikoto turned her eyes to Uchiha Izumi and changed the subject. Izumi is. Cough. Kainai coughed lightly, took a step back without leaving a trace, took the initiative to distance himself from Mikoto, and said seriously, Madam, Izumi doesn't know about the Uchiha clan genocide yet, and I haven't told her. If possible, I hope to let her spend a carefree girlhood. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining I love a Che asterisk 999999, which has been automatically stored in the system warehouse. I know. What do you need me to do? Mikoto nodded, feeling happy for Uchiha Izumi from the bottom of her heart. Unfortunately that the latter had found such a considerate lover. After a little contemplation, Kanai said, Izumi knows about the Uchiha clan's plan for a coup and Danzo sending me to wipe out the Uchiha clan. I will tell her later that Uncle Fugaku and I have discussed it. We will pretend to kidnap you as an opportunity to divert the Uchiha's hatred for the village, thereby ending the rebellion. Let Konoha live in harmony with the Uchiha clan again. As he spoke, Kanai untied the acupuncture points of Uchiha Izumi. Kanai, have we left Konoha? Hey, why is Aunt Mikoto here too? This was the first sentence Izumi said after waking up. Kanai and Mikoto looked at each other, and the two of them tacitly told Izumi a white lie. Then Kanai mentioned some precautions about this place to the two. After hearing this, Izumi was happy for the clan members. He threw himself into Kanai's arms distressedly. This made Kanai's old face hot. To celebrate the escape from the crisis, Kwan used the ingredients Kanai stored in the system warehouse that night, and Mikoto cooked a large table of dishes. After dinner, while Kwan was taking a bath, Kanai took out a pottery jar and handed it to Mikoto. Madam, this is for you. This is. Mikoto took the pottery jar curiously and asked in surprise. Kanai said solemnly, this is your husband's ashes. Fugaku. Hearing this, Mikoto could no longer hold back, holding the urn, crying. Kanai made up a story without changing his face. Although he was not a good clan leader, he was a good husband. After he died, I stole his body from under Sarutobi Hirozen's nose, and then secretly cremated it on the way here. Don't worry, his body was intact before cremation, and I didn't dig out his eyes. He did not dig out his eyes were taken away by the system, and so was the Uchiha bloodline. Thank you. Uchiha Mikoto picked up the urn, stood up and bowed, expressing her sincere gratitude to Kanai. Kanai smiled slightly, patted his shoulder, and joked, do you feel better now? If you still want to cry, I don't mind lending you my shoulder. You are really not serious. I don't know where you learned it from. Uchiha Mikoto wiped her tears, glared at her with a reproachful look, and laughed. She felt much better for no reason. I won't tell you anymore. Don't you have to go on a mission tomorrow? I will clean up the table later. After you take a bath, go to bed early. I will take care of your clothes for you. As she spoke, Mikoto walked into her room holding the urn. Kanai smiled indifferently. After Kwan finished taking a bath, he also took a bath, returned to the room, and began a long-awaited rest since the extermination of the clan. Kanai. However, not long after he lay down, Mikoto knocked on his door. Madam, do you need anything? Kanai opened the door and smiled. That, I was in a hurry to go out this time, and I didn't have time to bring a change of clothes. Mikoto said with a blushing face. I understand. You can wear mine tonight. Tomorrow I will ask Zayanan to get a few sets for you. You give me the size. As he spoke, Kanai took out a white shirt and a pair of black shorts from the system warehouse. As for underwear and bras, he didn't give them. He couldn't give them. As for bras, Kwan's size was too small, and you couldn't wear bras randomly, so he had to make do with it. Thank you. Mikoto quickly took the white shirt and black pants from Kanai's hands and hurried into the bathroom. She didn't turn on the shower until Kanai's door was closed. In an instant, the sound of running water rang in the bathroom. There was no conversation that night. The next morning, it was just light. Mikoto, who was a housewife, prepared breakfast for Kanai. At the same time, she changed into her own clothes. As for Kanai's clothes, he had already washed them, dried them with an iron, and hung them up together with Kanai's clothes from yesterday. Kanai, thank you for what happened last night. As for the clothes, I have already asked Miss Zayanan, and she will send them over later. Misaka blushed and said a little embarrassedly. That's good. Kanai smiled. What happened to you two last night? The door of Uchiha Kwan's room was opened, and she asked curiously. Nothing, it's just that Mrs. Misaka forgot to bring a change of clothes, so I asked Zayanan to help her get a few sets. Kanai blinked at Misaka, who immediately returned a grateful look. After Kwan sat down, Kainai reminded the two of them of some precautions, and that he might be away for a while in the future. Only then did he put on the red cloud black robe and went out with peace of mind. At the stairs, he met Xiaonan unexpectedly. The two walked side by side, and Kainai said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "After I leave, Massacre and Kwan, I'll ask you to take care of them. I will give you the information about the masked man as soon as possible." "No problem," Xiaonan replied lightly, without saying anything more. A moment later, the two came to the clock tower where they gathered yesterday. Pain 10 had been waiting here for a long time, and Itachi had also come, standing expressionlessly beside Pain. Seeing Kainai coming, he immediately opened the 3 Megata Sharingan. Kainai smiled, found a place to lean against the pillar, folded his arms, leaned against the pillar, and closed his eyes to rest. Not long after, Zetsu, Biwajuzang, Orochimaru, and Sasori arrived one after another. Kainai didn't open his eyes until Kakuzu arrived with the Akatsuki member who died in his hands in the original story, because he felt a very strong murderous intent from the other party, and this murderous intent was not directed at others, but at himself. Kainai looked at Zetsu, who was closest to him, and did not deliberately lower his voice, and said loudly, "Is there something wrong with the brain of the masked man? He releases murderous intent at every turn. Is he usually so brave? Boy, are you looking for death?" Kakuzu heard the words, and the veins on his forehead bulged, looking at Kainai with anger and greed. If it weren't for Pain beside him, he couldn't help but take action. PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. Thanks to, for the 1500 starting coins reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, showing the mirror image to all members of Akatsuki. White Zetsu explained gloatingly, he is Kakuzu, the financial director of Akatsuki, and his favorite thing is money. Because you wiped out the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, Konoha seems to have set a very high bounty for you in the underground exchange. Now Kakuzu sees you, as if he saw a lot of money. Kainai suddenly realized and continued to ask, then how much did they offer me? 90 million taels. Black Zetsu replied. What? This old man is too stingy. There are less than 3 Asumas. Kainai curled his lips in disdain, took out a scroll from his sleeve, spread it on the ground, and made a seal with his right hand. With a bang, the smoke dissipated, and more than a dozen suitcases appeared on the spot. Kainai opened one of the boxes, revealing the shiny banknotes inside, and said to Kakuzu, I don't like money, and have no interest in money. I haven't counted how much is here, but it is definitely more than 400 million. Since you love money so much, why don't we make a bet? What bet? Looking at the shiny banknotes on the ground, Kakuzu's throat rolled, and he swallowed hard. He thought he had seen a lot of money, but he had never made so much money at one time. 400 million taels. How many Asumas would he have to kill? Not to mention Kakuzu, even other members of the Akatsuki organization were inevitably moved. Especially for big spenders like Scorpion and Orochimaru who like to study puppets and forbidden techniques. The money they spend every year is an astronomical figure. As soon as Orochimaru came over with a little excitement, Kainai, where did you get so much money? Where else can it come from? From the treasury of the Sarutobi family. Your damn teacher's family is very rich. I have several scrolls like this. Anyway, it's just a matter of stealing. It's not something I worked hard to earn, so even if I lose, I won't feel bad. Kainai shrugged slightly. Hearing this, including Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi, everyone in the field frowned. Then Kainai is really rich. Orochimaru smiled awkwardly, thinking in his heart that when he ran out of money, should he also rob a wealthy man? Kainai ignored Orochimaru, put away the extra money boxes, leaving only 3, and continued to say to Kakuzu, the tentacle monster wearing a mask, what I hate most is being remembered by others. Since you are so brave, then fight me. As long as you beat me, I will give you 100 million. How about it? Are you serious? Kakuzu widened his eyes and said excitedly 100 million is not a small amount. He has to kill a Diluan to Asuma to earn it. Of course, but what if you lose? Kainai asked back. It's up to you. Anyway, I won't give you the money. At worst, I will give you my life. Kakuzu put on a posture of not having money but a life. He didn't think he would lose. Even if he lost, he still had 5 lives, so it wouldn't hurt to give you one or half a life. I'm not interested in your life. Kainai raised a cunning look at the corner of his mouth. Kakuzu was stunned. Then what do you want? All you need to do is hand over the ninjutsu you have learned after you lose. Of course, I will not let you suffer any loss. In return, the 100 million will still be yours. After all, I can't bear to see my companions suffer any loss. Kainai made up a random excuse. In fact, his real purpose was to take this opportunity to release the mirror flower and water moon. Okay, I promise you. Hearing this, Kakuzu agreed without hesitation. For such a cost-free deal with no disadvantages, he had no reason not to agree. Even if he lost, it would be worth it to exchange a set of ninjutsu for 100 million taels. Anyway, he would not lose a piece of meat. Then let's go. Kainai was about to leave when Orochimaru hurriedly stopped him. Wait, Kainai-kun, I also have a lot of ninjutsu. You don't have to fight me. I'll sell them to you directly. You? Kainai made a nauseous gesture. Forget it, Uncle Orochimaru. You definitely won't teach the core ninjutsu, and the others are either snake-spitting snakes or snake-spitting swords. I don't want to learn such disgusting things. Compared to these, I prefer the traditional 5-element escape techniques. Before speaking, Kainai performed the instant body technique and disappeared in the lighthouse. The other members of the Akatsuki organization also came to the interest and followed closely. Only Tendo Pain, Konan, and Zetsu were left on the field. Black Zetsu looked at Pain. Leader, is it really okay to let them mess around like this? It's harmless, and I just want to see the strength of the new members. Pain's voice fell, and he also disappeared instantly. Konan followed closely behind. Let's go too. Black Zetsu said to White Zetsu, and his body merged into the ground and disappeared. Not long after, the members of Akatsuki soon followed Kainai to an open area. Kainai and Kakuzu stood 50 steps apart. Are you ready, tentacle monster? Kainai looked at Kakuzu opposite him, and with a flick of his right sleeve, his Zanpakuto Kyokusu Jetsu fell into his hand. Under the gaze of all the members of Akatsuki present, he whispered in his heart, shatter it. Kyokusu Jetsu. With a knife. Come on, kid. Kakuzu did not notice anything unusual, and took a stance, and his Earth Escape Earth Spear quietly covered his whole body. He was extremely confident in his strength and combat experience. In Akatsuki, apart from the leader Pain, there were few people he took seriously. However, the next moment, before Kakuzu could react, Kainai suddenly appeared behind him, with thunder and lightning in his right hand, and a Chidori sharp spear pierced his left chest from behind. So fast. All the members of Akatsuki were shocked, except for the two Absolute Black and White who had seen Kainai exterminate their clans. No one expected Kainai's instant body to be so fast. In terms of speed alone, it is already unique in Akatsuki. Even if you look at the entire ninja world, there are few people who can match it. And this terrifying lightning attribute chakra nature and form change. Just one blow made Kakuzu lose a heart. This is Kakashi's Chidori. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, and the thick and long snake head stretched out and licked his lips, looking at Kainai in the field, as if he was looking at a rare treasure. What a perfect body. What a disciple. If Kainai didn't have a blood limit, he, Lord Orochimaru, would not be able to help but be moved. Kainai said, tentacle monster, how can it be so easy to get hit? It's too vulnerable. If this continues, you won't be able to take the 100 million taels. As he spoke, Kainai changed the form of the Chidori in his hand, turning it into a lightning whip, releasing a strong electric current, wrapping Kakuzu. Lightning is good against earth, and now it was wrapped by Kainai's lightning whip that pierced his heart. Kakuzu's earth spear was completely useless, and he immediately let out a painful roar. After a few hits, he fell to the ground and completely lost his life. PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 56. The Destroyed Kakuzu. The grouping of personnel. Seeing this scene, most of the Akatsuki members around did not show any surprise, but looked at Kainai with interest. Kakuzu has 5 lives. Almost all the old members of Akatsuki know this, but Kainai may not know it. If you are careless, life and death are often only a matter of seconds. The real battle has just begun. They want to know how Kainai will respond next. Sure enough, at the moment, when Kainai put away the Chidori, Kakuzu suddenly revived with full blood, and his whole body jumped high. The wrist of his right arm was separated from his arm, and dense black lines were released from his arm. The huge fist shot into Kainai's heart. The unique tentacle fist of the Earth Resentment U was launched. However, before Kakuzu's fist shot far, Kainai's Chidori sharp spear came after him, and pierced his left abdomen, causing him to lose a heart again. Ah screamed in pain, and Kakuzu fell straight to the ground. Tentacle monster, I've never heard of a dead person having chakra. Playing dead is outdated. Kainai shrugged slightly, and put away the Chidori sharp gun. Asshole, I'll kill you. Kakuzu roared, and the remaining fire attribute mask and wind attribute mask behind him separated from the body at the same time, turning into 2 black monsters of the opposite sex, gradually merging together. The mouths of the 2 masks opened at the same time, and a ball of flame and a hurricane appeared respectively. This is Kakuzu's 2 major ninjutsu, a composite ninjutsu composed of fire escape head hard work, and wind escape suppression. Flame wind chaos / strange face explosion. It seems that Kakuzu is really forced into a corner, and he actually used this trick. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru laughed at the excitement, retreated, and distanced himself from Kakuzu to prevent being affected, while looking at Kainai with interest, whispering in his heart, "Then Kainai-kun, how are you going to deal with this trick next?" The other members of the Akatsuki organization also retreated. The next moment, Kakuzu made seals with his hands, and the fire style, head hardship and wind style, suppression were combined, erupting into a huge sea of fire that covered Kainai. Kainai looked at the rapidly approaching sea of fire with a normal expression. His left hand, which was not holding the sword, made a symbolic seal, and the Sharingan was secretly activated in his body. An extremely large amount of chakra condensed in his throat, and then suddenly spurted out, turning into a giant fireball that was more than 10 times larger than an ordinary fireball, and crashed into the sea of fire in front. It's impossible for a fireball to have such power. Seeing this scene, even Orochimaru, who was calm, could no longer control his emotions and shouted excitedly. The other members of the Akatsuki organization, except Pain, also looked solemn. You know, the sea level fire style ninjutsu such as the Great Fireball is not uncommon in the ninja world, but no one has ever been able to exert such a powerful sea level ninjutsu. This is no less than the level of some forbidden techniques. The sea of fire collapsed at the touch of a button, but the fireball continued to move forward and directly submerged Kakuzu's combination of Earth Grudge Fire Mask and Earth Grudge Wind Mask. Although Kakuzu escaped with his original Earth Spear ninjutsu, he was already in a state of disgrace. With a plop, he knelt down, supported himself with his hands, and gasped for air. What a monster. A drop of cold sweat fell on Biwajua's forehead. He tilted his head to look at Uchiha Chiya and asked, "Hey, newcomer, are all the ninjas in Konoha so powerful?" "I don't know. This is the first time I've seen him use ninjutsu," Uchiha Chiya replied expressionlessly. At this moment, he has not yet fully awakened the power of the main Jiki. He was also shocked by Kainai's strength. He actually defeated the monster Kakuzu so easily. Not only the illusion, but also the ninjutsu is so excellent. What kind of powerful enemy did Danzo and the third Hokage bring to Konoha? TSK, you really don't understand romance. Biwajuzang heard this, tutted his tongue, retracted his gaze, and stopped asking for trouble. Chief, it seems that the winner has been decided. Black Zetsu looked at Pain and reminded him. Kakuzu was an important member of the Akatsuki organization, and before the plan to resurrect his mother Kaguya began, it did not want to lose this chess piece. Pain also did not want to lose the Minister of Finance. Hearing this, he flew between the two and said loudly, "Okay, stop it. The winner of this battle is Kainai." Having said that, he looked at Kakuzu. Kakuzu, you have no objection, right? At this moment, Kakuzu had just been in danger, and where was the previous domineering? Seeing this, he also went down the slope and murmured, I admit defeat. Then, happy cooperation. The purpose of planting mirror flowers and water moons on all members of the Akatsuki organization has been achieved, and Kainai no longer has the interest to continue playing. He put away his Zanpakuto and appeared in front of Kakuzu in an instant, throwing out the 3 money boxes from before. Seeing this, Kakuzu's eyes were about to be worth watching. The previous depression and fear disappeared in an instant. Just as he was about to reach out his hand, he immediately took it back. His tone was a little weaker than before, and he said hesitantly, my earth grudge is quite special, and there is no way to teach you. Don't worry, I'm not interested in learning such disgusting ninjutsu as yours. Just give me the 5 ninjutsu of different attributes that you have performed or have not yet performed. Kainai said indifferently. I know. Hearing this, Kakuzu breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, took the money box with joy, and threw out a scroll from his arms. This is a scroll that records the 5 ninjutsu of wind style suppression, lightning style pseudo darkness, earth style earth spear, fire style head hard work, and water style water curtain tent. If you don't understand, just ask me. Kainai nodded, put away the scroll, retreated to Pin's side and stopped talking. The other members of the Akatsuki organization also performed instant body techniques to surround them. Pain's Rinnegan swept over everyone, and he said in a deep voice, I called everyone here today for 2 things. One is to introduce 2 new members to you. I didn't expect to experience such an episode, but it doesn't matter. The member who just fought with Kakuzu is named Fujiwara Chiya, and the other is Uchiha Izumi. Now their names have long been famous in the ninja world. I'm sure you all know them, so I won't introduce them in detail. As for the second thing, it is about the transfer of personnel. All members will be disbanded, divided into groups of 2, and scattered in various corners of the ninja world. Scorpion, you will be in a group with Orochimaru and hide in the Kingdom of Wind. However, as soon as Pain finished speaking, Scorpion quit on the spot. Why should I stay with this stinky snake? I just don't want to stay with this sinister guy who hides in a puppet all day. Orochimaru pondered for a moment, turned his eyes to Itachi, stuck out his long tongue, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. Compared to Scorpion, I want to be in a team with Itachi. Asshole, are you ignoring me? Scorpion, who was hiding in the puppet leech, made a hoarse and unpleasant sound. No, I just want to be in a team with Itachi. Orochimaru said these infuriating words in a calm tone. Chapter 57. Zio-Ocean Group takes shape. Pain ignored the noise of Orochimaru and Sasori. Kakuzu, you and Ozen will be in the same group. Go to the Land of Earth. He grouped Kakuzu with the extra who didn't even have a name in the original story, but was killed by Kakuzu. Kakuzu had no objection to this. He was even a little happy. 4 of his hearts had just been destroyed by Chiya, and he was worried about where to add new high quality hearts. After all, the hearts of Elite Jonin are rare. Now, a high quality heart has been delivered to his door. Next, he only needs to create an accident during the mission. Conan is still in the same group with me. As a senior elder and a close friend of Nagato, Conan naturally had no objection. Juzo, you and the Itachi clan will go to the Land of Water. Hey, hearing this, Juzo agreed reluctantly. If possible, he never wanted to go back to that country full of blood and tears. But he was ranked last in the Akatsuki organization, and was only slightly stronger than the extra who was about to die in Kakuzu's hands. He had no right to refuse. Fortunately, he was not heading to the Hidden Mist village, otherwise he would have wanted to die. After all, he escaped from that bloody mist village. As for Kainai, considering the strong strength Kainai had just shown, Pain pondered for a moment and said, you should be in the same group with Ju for the time being. Ju's main task is to collect intelligence, and he is not good at fighting. You will have to work hard for a while. I will find new teammates for you, as soon as possible. Well, as long as this guy doesn't suddenly appear when I sleep. Kainai was a little disappointed. Originally, he wanted to be in the same group with Xiaonan. After all, she is a little sister. It's nothing to be in the same group with Ju, a product of yin and yang escape. Changing the subject, Kainai said nonsense to Ju in a serious manner. I like to kill people in my dreams. When I fall asleep, you must not come near me. What do you mean? Beiju was puzzled. If you dare to suddenly appear when I rest, I will chop you with a knife. Kanai said simply and rudely. Then what should we call you in the future? Heiju was a little embarrassed. Knock on the door. Do you understand? Also, my address in Rain Village is a forbidden area. Except for Conan. Whoever dares to get close, I will chop him up. Having said this, Kanai glanced at the Akatsuki members around him in a very arrogant manner. To this end, everyone who has seen Kanai's powerful strength has no objection. This is a world where the strong prey on the weak after all. The strong always occupy privileges. What's more, they will not run to a big man's room just because they are full. I know. Black Zetsu chose to admit his defeat. Kanai is a person who never plays by the rules. Even the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan are slaughtered at will. Black Zetsu dare not guarantee that Kanai will really chop it, and White Zetsu with a knife. Then leader, there are people in the 3 countries of wind, earth, and water. Next, you will not send me to the country of fire or the country of thunder. Kanai looked at Pain. Pain said, don't worry about the land of no lightning for now. After all, the Cloud Village is not like other ninja villages that like internal friction. At present, our Akatsuki organization cannot intervene. As for the land of fire, you just wiped out the families of the 3rd generation and Anzo, and it would be too conspicuous to go there now. Next, travel to some small and medium-sized countries. I will tell you the specific mission. As he spoke, Pain's samurai flashed. Everyone instantly floated in the air. Flying away from the rain village, they finally landed on the top of a valley, in the sea of clouds. Everyone surrounded Pain, looking at the bottomless abyss under their feet, without saying a word. Mountain peaks, clouds, 10 handsome men and beautiful women in red clouds and black robes. The 1st generation of Akatsuki organization's heavenly group appeared. The mission begins. Let the world feel pain. Pain shouted loudly. Then each group moved forward in all directions according to the assigned formation. Among them, Kakuzu ran the fastest. He almost ran by the collar of his supporting teammate. He was afraid that Kanai would eat him. He ran to replenish his heart. Looking at the 2 figures going away, Kanai mourned for the extra in his heart, and then looked at another extra who was about to die. Biwajuzo. The current 4th Mizukage is already under the control of Obito. If nothing unexpected happens, it will not be long before Obito uses Pain's mouth to send them to the Kurigakage village in order to test Itachi's main Juki Sharingan. Then Biwajuzo will perform the famous scene of chopping the tailed beast ball with a knife for the filial son. TSK, he is really stubborn. Hey, newcomer, follow me. Biwajuzo was a little scalp numbing when he was looked at by Kanai, and he did not stop, called Itachi, and walked back with the beheading sword. Uchiha Itachi looked at Kanai deeply and followed closely. Only Kanai, Zetsu, Pain, and Conan were left on the top of the mountain. Let's go down the mountain. Black 6, White 7. Kanai glanced at the 2 Zetsu with disdain, and his figure turned into a residual shadow, and he stepped away, and disappeared from the sight of the 2 Zetsu in a few steps. White Zetsu. Black Zetsu. White Zetsu said, Itachi is a filial son, and the horns are tentacle monsters. You are Black 6, and I'm White 7. It seems that we are all disliked by Kanai. Only Orochimaru is better, and he has the title of Snake Uncle. Black Zetsu urged, don't worry about it, just follow him. While speaking, Black Zetsu controlled the pitcher plant to merge into the ground and chased after it from underground. A moment later, a vortex suddenly appeared next to Pain, as if the space was distorted. Then, a masked man with an orange vortex mask and one right eye exposed appeared out of thin air. With his arms folded, he looked very calm and confident. What's the situation now? Obito asked in a deep voice. Including Kanai and Itachi you brought. The people who have joined are collecting funds. Conan responded. Pain tilted his head to look at Obito. What about you? Have you found a target for the next member? Obito shook his head. We are still looking for them. After all, our organization doesn't need any trash. How strong are Chihaya and Itachi? I haven't seen Itachi take action yet, so I can't tell anything, but since he has the main Juki Sharingan, he should be of a certain level. Chihaya is very strong, and Kakuzu has no chance to resist him. Conan answered. Obito heard this, and his face under the mask did not show any surprise. He had experienced Chiya's strength firsthand. He was an unfathomable guy. Not only was he strong, but he also had the calmness to control everything. With just a simple fight, he saw through his hollowness. For this, he almost died and lost a Sharingan. I'm afraid his strength is more than that. You need to pay more attention to him in the future. If used properly, he will be a great help to our plan in the future. Leaving this sentence, Obito's right eye socket under the mask began to twist, sucking his body into it, and disappeared. Chapter 58, Sarutobi Mirai is about to be born. It seems that this guy is quite afraid of Kanai. Xiaonan walked to Pin's side. To be able to wipe out the Sarutobi clan with thousands of people in such a short time, it must be of a very good level. Pin said calmly. So what should we do next? Should we continue to follow his orders and let Zetsu team up with Kanai? Xiaonan asked. There is no better choice at the moment. Pin turned and looked at Xiaonan. Do you have any clues about the woman that Kanai asked us to protect? Yes. Xiaonan nodded. So fast? Pin was a little surprised. You know, most of the information of the Akatsuki organization comes from Zetsu, and Zetsu is in the same group with the Masked Man. Without relying on Zetsu and Konoha's strict blockade of Uchiha news, it is not so easy to investigate Makoto's identity. No, I didn't spend much effort. I just asked her name, and then did a simple investigation. Her name is Uchiha Makoto. Interestingly, she seems to be the mother of Uchiha Itachi. Xiaonan said. That's really interesting. It's rumored that there are no survivors of the Uchiha clan except Itachi's brother. I didn't expect that there is another one besides Uchiha Izumi. It seems that the genocide of the Uchiha clan is not as simple as imagined. Pin murmured to himself, well, this has nothing to do with us. Next, we just need to ensure the smooth implementation of the plan. As he spoke, his body floated in the air and drifted towards the rain village. Conan opened the paper dance, and his body turned into countless pieces of paper and followed closely behind. At the foot of the mountain, Kanai said to Zetsu boredly, you two are so slow. You are too fast. White Zetsu complained and handed out a few scrolls. This is your next task. Kanai flipped through it and took a general look and couldn't help rolling his eyes. Assassination, bridge bombing, and extermination of bandits. You really take on all kinds of tasks. There's nothing we can do about it. The organization is just starting out and needs a lot of funds. Black Zetsu replied. Since you are short of money, why don't you do the same as me and just rob a big family? Anyway, this world lacks everything except profiteers and landlords. At worst, you can kill them afterwards. Why take these meaningless tasks? Kanai said while browsing the scroll. There is no impenetrable wall in the world. The iron rule of the ninja world is to get paid by accepting tasks. No one, including the 5 major countries, can break this rule. The Akatsuki organization is no exception. If you violate this rule, you will attract the encirclement and suppression of the 5 major countries. The demise of the Whirlpool country is a lesson for us. They directly established a system in which the ninja village and the country were integrated, which was not tolerated by many countries, and eventually led to disaster. Black Zetsu explained patiently. That's really disgusting. They clearly control powerful forces, but they succumb to those weaklings who are just sitting on the throne. What a sad world. Kanai symbolically formed a seal with his right hand. With a bang, the smoke dissipated, and several shadow clones appeared out of thin air. He distributed the mission scrolls to the shadow clones, turned his back to Zetsu and said, you are responsible for leading the way, and leave the battle to them. As long as you don't encounter a shadow or a powerful Jinkriki, there won't be much of a problem. Isn't this too careless? I can feel that each of your shadow clones has very powerful chakra, but the shadow clones have no way to restore chakra. If the mission is delayed because of chakra exhaustion, the leader will blame it. Black Zetsu didn't want Kanai to be away from his surveillance, so he used an excuse to bring up pain. Don't worry about this. This is not an ordinary shadow clone. It can restore chakra by itself. If there is any problem, the leader will blame it, and I will take it alone. Okay, that's it for now. I'm going to practice. If Black 6 has a new mission, you can just give it to this shadow clone. If you encounter something beyond the clone's ability, he will send a message to me. Leaving this sentence, Kainai's figure flashed and disappeared from the sight of the two black and white Zetsu. What should I do? Looking at the place where Kainai disappeared, White Zetsu asked in a voice that only he and Black Zetsu could hear. What a troublesome guy. Take his shadow clone to the mission site first and report to the leader and a Fei later. Black Zetsu replied. His figure slowly merged into the ground. After Black Zetsu disappeared, Kainai stopped and tilted his head to look in the direction of Konoha, muttering in his heart, calculating the time, the child of Danzo and Sarutobi Asuma should be born. At the same time, the Land of Fire, Konoha village, a secret underground base somewhere. The dim candle light swayed slightly as a breeze blew in. You're awake, how do you feel now? I have blocked the news, and no one will know your physical condition. You can rest assured. Sarutobi Hirozen sat by the bed, looking at this son who had always been rebellious in his eyes lying on the hospital bed, looking like he had no desire to live. He felt a sharp pain in his heart, sighed, and didn't bite out the last word fetus. At this time, nearly 7 days had passed since the extermination of the Sarutobi, Shimura, and Uchiha clans. Konohamaru had been discharged from the hospital long ago and was taken back to the Hokage building by Sarutobi Hirozen, who handed him over to the care of Konoha's special Jonin Ebisu. In order to prevent Konohamaru's young heart, which had become increasingly fragile due to the loss of his family, from being persecuted again, Sarutobi Hirozen immediately blocked the news that he and Sarutobi Asuma had been castrated. Originally, with Sarutobi Asuma's physique, although he had broken several ribs and lost his lower body, according to Konoha's medical conditions, he should be able to be discharged soon. But it's better to be safe than sorry. When the medical ninja treated Sarutobi Asuma's injuries and examined his body, they found that there was a warm house in his body that only females could have, and a resident had been born in it. The resident's vitality was extremely strong, and he changed almost every day. In just a few days, Asuma's belly turned into a ball. This scared the medical ninja who was responsible for treating him. He reported to the director of the hospital immediately. The director then reported to the third generation. The third generation was also frightened, with mixed feelings of joy and anger. He was happy that the Sarutobi family would finally not be extinct. What shocked him was that the target was his son. If this were to spread out, he, a grown man, would lose face as the strongest Hokage in history. But in order to protect the only fertile offspring of the Sarutobi family, he finally decided to keep the child. For this reason, he had no choice but to bring his son to this underground secret base, and even the medical ninjas who knew about Asuma's physical condition were brought here. PS. First update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to Hashendaleo for the reward of 700 starting coins. Thanks to Red Wing Dusk for the reward of 5,000 starting coins. Chapter 59. Shimura Muke and Danzo's ambition. There is no other way. We have to protect the child. We have tried all kinds of medicines. The child is fine. The medical ninja said that, unless violent means are used to take it out of the body, the child will continue to grow until it is ripe. Fortunately, there are plenty of medical ninjas in Konoha who can perform cesarean sections. Leverage in terms of safety. At worst, they can be transferred to Danzo's headquarters after the matter is over. Then there is no need to worry about anyone gossiping secretly. Then the date of birth can be rewritten and announced to the outside world that he is the surviving orphan of the Sarutobi clan. What's the point of you telling me all this now? The whole clan has been wiped out, and the eldest brother and sister-in-law are dead, but you haven't even formed a funeral team. Is Fujiwara Chiya really that scary? Or are you afraid of losing the position of Hokage? Sarutobi Asuma, with a big belly, looked at the ceiling with despair, and didn't even look at his father during the whole process. He questioned the third generation in a flat tone. Alas, I know you are blaming me, but as the Hokage, I have my own reasons. Let's not talk about the identity of the murderer. Even if he is really Fujiwara Chiya, Konoha is no longer able to send troops to pursue him after the extermination of the Sarutobi, Uchiha, and Shimura clans. Sarutobi Hirozen sighed. Sarutobi Asuma screamed hysterically. Who else can use the illusion magic of Kyuubi, tree binding? Although he was wearing a mask at the time, I recognized him, even if he turned into ash. And he himself admitted it. That's why I issued a wanted order. But it is an indisputable fact that Fujiwara Chiya's body appeared in public, and his mask and sword are missing. For this reason, many people in the village still feel sorry for him. They say he was framed. I'm also under a lot of pressure. Sarutobi Hiruzen said helplessly. Whatever you say. You are the Hokage anyway. Asuma Sarutobi calmed down and asked casually, old man, how is Kyuubi now? The incident with Chiya was a big blow to her, and she has not yet come out of the shadow. She has now taken the initiative to apply to retire to the second line and transferred to the medical department. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and vaguely thought of his disciple Orochimaru, and then added, you can go see her after you give birth to the child. Go see her? I look like this now? What qualifications do I have to go see her? Am I going to tell Kyuubi that I have become a eunuch? And I'm pregnant? A self-deprecating smile appeared on Asuma Sarutobi's face, and then a trace of resentment flashed across his pupils. All this was to blame on Chiya Fujiwara. It was he who destroyed the Sarutobi family and destroyed his lower body. P.S. This is not a typo. Or just use. Sarutobi Hiruzen also felt sorry for his son, but he still asked the doubts in his heart. Your belly was engorged on the night of the extermination. Do you remember what the murderer did to you besides swinging the butcher knife at you? Hearing this, Sarutobi Asuma pondered for a moment, recalling the nightmare scene of that night in his mind. In a trance, he seemed to be fed something before he fell into a coma. After he castrated me, he seemed to pour some liquid into my mouth, and then I was kicked away and lost consciousness. At this point, he seemed to recall something and hurriedly asked, old man, when I faced Fujiwara Chiya, he seemed to be very resentful of you and the Sarutobi family. Tell me honestly, did you force him into a dead end, which led to revenge? Others don't know the face of his father, but he knows it. Hypocritical, black-hearted, vicious, calculating, and extremely cunning. At the beginning, he chose to run, to be the guardian of the 12 ninjas, because he couldn't stand his father's ugly face. But he found that the daimyo was still the same. Not much better than his father, so he simply came back. He was determined to pursue Hong, and then become Hokage through his own efforts. Who knew that he would encounter such a change? Who did you hear this from? I have always valued him, and made him Hong's disciple. I even made an exception, and promoted him to Jonin. How could I let him down? Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up without changing his expression, walked to the candlestick, and turned his back to his son. Looking at the candlelight, he was a little absent-minded. In fact, he also regretted it. Regret not seeing through Kainai earlier, and actually cultivating such a disaster. Now it's too late to say anything. But life has to go on. I can only hope that someone on the black market can kill Kainai, and if not, find his body. At least this way, we can confirm who the murderer is. It's not like now, there is no clue, the family has been destroyed, and there is no way to confirm who the murderer is. When can I leave here? Sarutobi Asuma skipped the previous topic. As the saying goes, no one knows a son better than his father, and the same is true in reverse. Asuma Sarutobi no longer cares whether Sarutobi Hiruzen has forced Chiya into a corner. He only knows that the two are now sworn enemies. After his body recovers, he will become an avenger and spend his entire life chasing Chiya. If he runs into Fujiwara Chiya again, he will kill her. The operation is scheduled for tomorrow night. You will be able to fully recover after resting for about half a month after the operation. Sarutobi Hiruzen paused and added, later, I will announce to the public that this is a survivor of the Sarutobi clan, and you are his father. Have you thought about what to name the child? Tomorrow? Asuma Sarutobi sighed, and his expression was inexplicably complicated in his sharp voice. He is also a father, but unfortunately his mother is not his most beloved Han. All this is to blame for the devil Fujiwara Chiya. He ruined himself. Thinking of this, reluctance, resentment, confusion, and a trace of imperceptible joy, and many other emotions flashed through Asuma Sarutobi's eyes, and finally turned into a sigh. He murmured to himself, let's call her Mary Sarutobi. Whether it's his son or a daughter, they will be the hope of his Sarutobi clan's revival. On the other hand, while Asuma Sarutobi named his daughter, Danzo was in a miserable situation. Asuma Sarutobi took the water of the mother and child river one day in advance, and he was already due. Because of the transplant of the first generation of cells, ordinary anesthetics had little effect on him. For this reason, he almost endured the pain of having his abdomen opened to take the child out. WAA. With the cry of a baby, Danzo's child was born. It was a daughter. The rude medical ninja who was in charge of the delivery hurriedly sutured Danzo's wound. Danzo endured the severe pain and immediately ordered his subordinates to test whether his daughter had the qualifications to inherit wood release. The results surprised Danzo greatly. Danzo-sama, we have detected some genes in the young lady that are similar to those of the first generation. Chapter 60 Black Zetsuleo reported me. Hearing this, Danzo was so excited that he almost jumped out of the bed. He knew that Asuma Sarutobi was pregnant. He was sure that Kainai had done something, and he himself had summoned Kainai before the extermination of the Sarutobi, Uchiha, and Shimura clans, although he didn't know what the other party had done to him. But since then, his abdomen began to swell and hurt for no reason, and he also had nausea, dry heaves, sleepiness, and many other symptoms that only prostitutes would have. After the extermination of the clan, Danzo immediately summoned the rude medical ninja to check him. The test results were exactly the same as Asuma Sarutobi. There was a small house in his body. There was a little guy in the house. Although he didn't know what Kainai's purpose was, whether it was out of evil taste or revenge. But with the mentality of leaving a descendant for the Shimura family, Danzo finally decided to give birth to the child. But he never expected that he would encounter such a surprise. Now the child is out, but the house is still there. Does it mean that he has an infinite possibility to transform the Shimura clan into a wood release family? Danzo, the child is healthy. Have you decided what name to give to the young lady? Just then, the words of the rude Jonin Yamazuna Capo interrupted Danzo's thoughts. Danzo looked at the child, pondered for a moment, and said, "Let's call him Shimura Muke. This child will be the next Hokage after me. When the second child is born, he will name him Shimura Muke. As for the third child, he will have to think about it carefully. Or should he call him Shimura Reizan?" Kainai didn't know that Danzo's child inherited the weakened version of the first generation cells. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care, because he had been called to the room by Xiaonan at this moment. "Do you have any opinions about our organization?" Xiaonan looked cold and stared at Kainai, who was sitting opposite. "No, we provide food and accommodation, and there are good commissions for completing each mission. The benefits are also good, and the members of the organization speak well. I like it here very much." Kainai crossed his legs, resting his hands on his neck, lying on the sofa in Xiaonan's house without any scruples, as if he were at home. "Then why did I hear that you were passive and lazy, using clones to get by?" Conan's beautiful eyes became colder. Time went back to a few hours ago. After Kainai left, Black Zetsu guided the direction of Kainai's shadow clone, and immediately found Obito, Conan, and Pain in the Rain village, who were discussing the future plan of the Akatsuki organization. He reported Kainai to them. "The clone is really a casual guy." Obito had a headache after hearing this, and tilted his head to look at Pain. "Do you have any good ideas? This guy just joined the organization, is so impulsive. If it comes to the stage of capturing the tailed beast in the future, don't let anything go wrong." Nagato, who controlled Pain, slightly sensed Kainai and found that he was currently training in a deserted area somewhere in the Rain Village. He immediately recalled the information about Kainai in his mind. After thinking for a moment, he said, "This is a guy who is soft-hearted and not hard-hearted. If you force him, I guess he will find ways to perfunctorily deal with it. Let Conan go." He was thinking about the deal between Kainai and them. As long as Kainai still had the weakness of Uchiha Mikoto, there would be no reason to refuse them. Conan? Obito was a little puzzled. Then he thought of the guy who could betray Konoha for a woman and publicly declared that no one, except Conan, was allowed to step into his residence. Sending Conan over seemed to be a good choice. Thinking of this, he turned his head and said to Xiaonan solemnly, "Then I'll leave it to you." "I understand." Xiaonan nodded coldly. This is how the current scene came about. TSK, is it that old man from Black Zetsu again? Kainai sighed. Xiaonan continued, I know you are strong and your chakra volume is among the best in our organization. But there is nothing absolute in the world. The shadow clone's ability to withstand blows is limited. Since the organization has provided everything you need, then I hope you can take every task assigned to you by the organization seriously. As long as you complete the tasks assigned by the organization will not interfere with you doing anything in your spare time. I understand, it's really troublesome. It's getting late now. Tomorrow I will find that old man from Black Zetsu and complete the task myself. What do you think? Kanai said helplessly. That's the best. Xiaonan nodded in satisfaction, and then said, before that, if you have any requests, you can try to ask. The organization will try its best to meet your needs. Requests. Kanai was stunned, and looked at Xiaonan again, and suddenly he had bad intentions. Then can I let you be my teammate? Team up with me. Xiaonan was stunned, and asked puzzledly, why? Teaming up with that guy, who is neither human nor ghost is really disgusting, and he likes to tell tales. At least you look better. Kanai took the opportunity to complain. Do you look good? No woman doesn't like to hear others praise her beautiful eyes, and Xiaonan is the same. When she heard Kanai's words, the corners of her mouth rose up imperceptibly. Then she thought of Nagato, who was inconvenient to walk, and her face instantly returned to coldness. She decisively refused. No, I already have a partner. And I also need to assist the leader in managing the operation of the organization, so I can't complete the task with you. Your partner needs to wait a little longer. 3 months later, Kanai looked at the bandit camp in front of him. He symbolically made a seal with his right hand. Fire style. Head hard. A huge amount of chakra gathered in the throat, and then suddenly spurted out. In an instant, the huge mountain village turned into a sea of fire, and nearly 100 bandits were killed. What a simple and crude solution. It seems that you have already mastered Kakuzu's ninjutsu. The voice of Black Zetsu suddenly sounded beside Kanai's ears, and then a huge pitcher plant slowly emerged from the ground. It's just a B-level ninjutsu, it's nothing. Kanai turned his head with a look of disgust. By the way, haven't I found a partner yet? If it doesn't work, let Sister Xiaonan join me in a group. At least, she looks better than you. Black Zetsu, it seems that we are being disliked again. White Zetsu said gloatingly. Black Zetsu ignored White Zetsu, and continued to say to Kanai, Xiaonan is the leader's partner, and can't be in a group with you. Your partner will have to wait a little longer. Cut it out, you're just trying to fool me with that again. I haven't settled the score with you for reporting me last time. Kanai sighed and yawned, and said impatiently, tell me, what's the next mission? Do Ancestry. As Black Zetsu said this, he handed over a scroll. PS. The third update, thanks to Red Wing Dusk, for the 5,000 starting coins reward, I added more. Chapter 61 Akatsuki's first collective meeting. Black Zetsu handed over a scroll. This is your last mission this quarter. After completing this, you can relax for a while. Kanai took the scroll, and was stunned for a moment. A smile of interest appeared on his face, and he murmured, Tansho Street. That's interesting. He clearly remembered that Tsunade in the original novel was a gambler in Tansho Street every day, and finally owed a lot of debts, and even got the title of the legendary Big Fat Sheep. Maybe he would bump into her, but he didn't know if she would recognize him. I don't think so. Although he wiped out the Sarutobi and Shimura clans, and became a household name in Konoha. But since Tsunade suffered from hemophobia, she has never paid attention to Konoha's affairs. Even the big event of the death of the third generation old man was only known after Naruto and Jiraiya told her. At most, her assistant Shizune would know something. At this moment, Kanai's ring suddenly felt a pulling force. Black Zetsu said on the side, it looks like another meeting is about to start. Then let's go and find a safer place. After leaving these words, Kanai took out the wind chime hat from the system warehouse and put it on, disappearing on the spot. Black Zetsu controlled the giant pitcher plant to merge into the ground and followed closely. Soon, the two came to the top of a valley surrounded by clouds and mist. Kanai made a symbolic seal with his right hand, and with a bang, 4 shadow clones immediately appeared around him. Only then did he feel at ease to let his consciousness enter the dark space. What a cautious guy. Black Zetsu, who followed closely, looked at the 4 shadow clones guarding Kainai with murderous intent, and secretly complained in his heart, and then relied on the traction of the ring to let his consciousness enter the dark space. The spacious cave was pitch black around, with only a Zen lamp in the center emitting a faint flame. One after another, dark shadows appeared around the Zen lamp. How about Itachi? Have you adapted to the Akatsuki organization? How about changing partners? Join me as a 2-man team. As soon as he arrived, Orochimaru couldn't wait to poach Itachi and invited him to form a partnership. Uchiha Itachi was not moved at all, just glanced at Orochimaru and didn't say anything. But Itachi's partner, Biwajuzo, who was about to complete the feat of splitting the tailed beast ball with a sword, was dissatisfied and refuted Orochimaru. Then, Scorpion, who had always been at odds with Orochimaru, also joined the quarrel. The quarreling did not stop until Kainai arrived. "What are you all arguing about?" Black Zetsu said on the side. "What else can it be? It's nothing more than changing team members. Orochimaru and Sasori don't like each other. Orochimaru wants to steal Biwajuzo's talent. He wants to form a 2-person team with Itachi." Kainai suddenly realized, since Snake doesn't want to be in the same team with Sasori, then exchange with me. I'll be in the same team with Sasori, and you'll be in the same team with Zetsu, the old man. It seems that Kainai has a lot of resentment towards Zetsu. Orochimaru showed a sinister smile on his face, but did not agree directly. The reason why he wanted to be in the same team with Uchiha Itachi was not because he really wanted to cooperate, but because he was greedy for the latter's body. How could he agree to Kainai's exchange? Of course, this old man is not good at anything, and always likes to tell tales. I'm really worried that I won't be able to help but chop him off with a knife one day. Kainai shrugged slightly, glanced at Ze with disdain, and said in a deep voice, "Compared to Ze, I still think it's easier to team up with Scorpion, the hard-working model. At least, he really goes there when there's something to do." Black Zetsu, "It seems that we are being disliked." White Zetsu heard this and said heartlessly, "Shut up." Black Zetsu retorted. At this moment, the consciousness projections of Pain, Konan, and Kakuzu appeared one after another. Pain said, "It seems that everyone is not very satisfied with their partners. Of course, except for Zyuozi and Juzo. The other combinations are not very harmonious. It's time to adjust, otherwise, something will happen sooner or later. I'm afraid it has already happened." Kainai looked at Kakuzu with interest. Until this moment, his teammate Dawson did not appear. It was not surprising. It was because of himself that he was killed by Kakuzu earlier than in the original work, and was taken to replenish his heart. Facing Kainai's gaze, Kakuzu tutted and turned his head away. If it were anyone else, even Orochimaru, he would have fought back long ago, but facing Kainai, who had killed 4 of his hearts, he had no temper at all. Pain narrowed his eyes slightly. "Yes, Donzo was killed." Black Zetsu sneered. "Rather than being killed, it's better to say that he was killed by his own people. Who told him to be so fussy?" Kakuzu glared at Black Zetsu. In the Akatsuki organization, he would not tolerate anyone except the leader and Kainai. The details, let everyone judge for themselves. Black Zetsu did not argue and played the video of Donzo before his death. The death was similar to the original work. He was killed by Kakuzu when fighting the enemy. Unlike the original work, Kakuzu did not use the fire escape head to kill directly, but first used the earth spear to pierce his and the enemy's abdomen from behind, and then took away the enemy's heart and died. It can be said to be naked murder. Seeing this scene, even Scorpion and Orochimaru, who have killed countless people, couldn't help but sigh. Scorpion said, "It was intentional." Orochimaru spread his hands and agreed, "It was intentional." Hearing this, Kakuzu became tough again, staring at Orochimaru with a pair of green eyes, and said confidently, "Just get out of the way." Orochimaru crossed his arms and showed no weakness. "You and your partner don't have a good relationship, right? So what?" Kakuzu's voice gradually became cold. Orochimaru ignored him and continued to say, "You have wanted to kill him for a long time, right? So what?" Kakuzu finally lost his patience, and murderous intent was revealed in his eyes. Seeing that the two sides were about to quarrel, Pain spoke up to stop them. "Okay, let's stop here. Everyone, Please clear the tasks at hand first, and Kakuzu will act alone for the time being. I will make personnel adjustments in a month. Then I will talk about the second thing. Your performance has allowed the name of Akatsuki to spread in the underground world, and the commissions you receive are becoming more and more important. The rewards you can get are also increasing accordingly, but this is just a means of raising funds. Akatsuki will enter the next stage. Hearing this, everyone's faces were serious, and the scene began to get serious. Kainai thought to himself, has it finally come to this time? The next stage is to collect all the tailed beasts. Currently, most of the known tailed beasts are distributed in the 5 major countries, and a few of them are missing. In the future, when you have free time from tasks, you will go to inquire about the information of the tailed beasts. At this point, Pain looked at Zetsu, and Zetsu nodded in understanding and said, the 1 tail is in the Sand village. The 2 tail and the 8 tail are in the Cloud village. The 3 tail is in the Mist village. The 4 tail, 6 tail, and 7 tail cannot be confirmed for the time being. The 5 tail is in the Iwagakure village. The 9 tail is in Konoha. This is the information currently known, but where exactly it is hidden and who the Jinchuriki is still needs to be investigated. PS. First update. Please vote for recommendation and monthly votes. I have something to do at night, so I will update in advance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62. The legendary super fat sheep. Pin took over the topic and looked at Biwa with his Samsara eye. Next, I will start assigning tasks. Juzo, Itachi, you continue to be responsible for the tasks of the Land of Water, and by the way. However, before he could finish his words, Biwa started to complain. Is there no other place? Don't worry, it's not time to capture it yet. You just need to investigate the information of the 3-tailed beast. And you are familiar with that place, right? Pin did not give Biwa a chance to refuse. After speaking, he ended the meeting directly. It seems that we are going to lose another member next. This was the first sentence Kainai said after opening his eyes. What does this mean? Black Zetsu looked at Kainai in confusion. He thought to himself, could it be that he discovered something? It's very simple. As far as I know, the 3-tailed Jinchuriki is the 4th Mizukage of the Hidden Mist village. He is a perfect Jinchuriki who can freely control the transformation into a tailed beast. With the strength of Biwa, this trip is simply a life or death struggle. I'm afraid this is Afen's idea, in order to stimulate Itachi to awaken the Manjaki Sharingan pupil technique in his left eye, and to eliminate the members with weaker strength in the Akatsuki organization. Kainai said meaningfully, you really can't hide anything from you. Black Zetsu looked at Kainai in surprise, and then said, so what are you going to do? Kainai thought for a moment and said, I personally have a good impression of Biwa, so I want to save his life. Of course, I will let him voluntarily give up his position as a formal member of the Akatsuki organization, and serve as an ordinary elite jonin of the Rain Village. It won't affect your plan. He did this for his own reasons. First, Biwa was able to chop the tailed beast ball with a knife for his companions, and his character is good. Once such a person is defined as a companion, the probability of betrayal is almost zero. Secondly, the Akatsuki organization will eventually fall. In the later period, when the gods fight, they go to the battlefield. The wives who stay in the Rain Village will always need someone to protect them. Biwa is a good choice. Although he ranks last in the Akatsuki organization, he is the best among the elite jonin. It is enough to take on the work of guarding and defending against villains. I didn't expect that you, who slaughtered the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, would have a day of kindness. I need to ask Afei. Black Zetsu did not agree directly. Then I will wait for good news. Don't go too late, otherwise I will make a wasted trip. I will go to Tansho Street to complete the last task first. After saying that, Kainai dismissed the shadow clones around him who were protecting him and disappeared from Black Zetsu's sight. After a while, Black Zetsu found Afei. Save Biwa life. Obito looked at Black Zetsu in surprise. What did he say? He said he had a good impression of Biwa and would save him without affecting your plan. Afterwards, he would let Juzo voluntarily give up his position as a formal member of the Akatsuki organization and serve as an ordinary elite jonin in the Rain Village. Black Zetsu repeated Kainai's original words. This guy, his behavior is still as confusing as always. Obito crossed his arms in distress. What are you going to do, Afi? White Zetsu asked. Since he knows everything, give him a favor. By the way, you take the opportunity to collect his information. The three-tailed Jinchuriki who can perfectly control the tail beast is not so easy to deal with. I want to see how he can save Biwa without affecting my plan. Obito said. On the other side, Kainai has arrived at Tansho Street. The street is busy with cars and people. It is very lively. Kainai's mission this time is to kill a crown prince of the Fire Kingdom who came here to play. A passable character who was not even a minor character in the original work and had never shown his face. Like Tsunade, he was a gambler by nature. But he was also a strong candidate to compete for the next daimyo of the Land of Fire. To put it bluntly, it was a royal struggle. The other party competing for the throne spent a lot of money on the black market to hire the Akatsuki organization to kill him. According to Black Zetsu's information, this passable character will not arrive here until tomorrow. Therefore, Kainai was also happy to be free. With nothing to do, he simply took off his forehead protector, took off his red cloud black robe, put on a casual outfit, and started shopping for a long time. First, he found a hotel to stay, and then bought several sets of clothes and various cosmetics for Uchiha Izumi and Uchiha Makoto in different styles, and then bought a large amount of food and supplies in case of emergency. Until the evening, when Kainai was about to return to the hotel to rest, a little emergency stopped him. At the end of the road ahead, a woman with a super large moon-like body ran towards him. As they got closer, Kainai finally saw the appearance of the person coming. She had long light yellow hair, which was combed into two ponytails that almost fit together. There was a diamond-shaped blue-purple mark on her forehead, thin and short light yellow eyebrows, bright brown eyes, and light red lips. She wore a tea-green long gown with black edges, a loose sleeveless top similar to a kimono, a black cloth belt around her waist, and dark blue cropped pants. The most eye-catching thing was her white and generous breasts, which could be called world-class giant breasts. They were simply a pair of super killers. Without asking, he had already guessed the other party's identity. She was one of the three ninjas of Konoha, the granddaughter of the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, and the future fifth Hokage, the legendary big fat sheep Tsunade. At the same time, Tsunade also noticed Kainai. Seeing that he had a good-looking appearance, but was staring at her with lustful eyes like Jiraiya, she frowned slightly. Then she saw that Kainai was dressed elegantly, wearing high-end goods from head to toe. She subconsciously thought that Kainai was a bohemian young man from a wealthy family, a local tycoon. She felt a sudden evil taste in her heart and a sly smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. After approaching Kainai, she pretended to be weak and hid behind Kainai, saying timidly, "Little brother, save me, someone is chasing me." As soon as Tsunade finished speaking, a group of burly men came to chase her. "Hey, big fat sheep, pay me back quickly, don't think you can escape by finding a pretty boy." Feeling the amazing touch from behind, Kainai was possessed by the spirit of drama, turned around and looked at Tsunade, and asked knowingly, "Do you owe them a lot of money?" Hearing this, Tsunade immediately made up a lot of reasons, such as her family was seriously ill, and she was forced to owe a huge amount of high-interest loans. The debt collectors were stunned, and those who didn't know thought she was a filial daughter. Listening to this lie full of loopholes, Kainai's mouth twitched fiercely, and he complained in his heart that these tiger women were taking me for a fool. At this moment, the long-lost system prompt sound came to his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the system option. 1. Pay off Tsunade's debt and be rewarded with wind attribute chakra and property change. 2. Sit back and watch, lose your good wife, and be rewarded with Viagra asterisk 99,999 PS. Second update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 63, Mutual Calculation. PS. The options in the previous chapter have been changed. Please select Kainai. Is this okay? Just by paying off Tsunade's debt, You can gather the last missing wind attribute chakra. This is a bit too easy. But it doesn't matter. As long as the problem can be solved with money, it is not a problem. Anyway, I still have more than 1 billion robbed from the Sarutobi family. After making up his mind, Kainai patted his chest and said to the big men who were collecting debts, "How much does he owe you? I'll pay it." 20 million. The leading big man directly stretched out 2 fingers. Haha. 20 million. 20 million. Hearing this, Kainai burst into laughter and walked around Tsunade and walked back. Just when everyone thought he was going to run away in disgrace, Kainai suddenly turned around, stretched out his index finger, a dazzling cross of light flashed between his fingers, and said in a very arrogant tone, "Okay, I'll pay it back for her." The leading man's eyes widened instantly, and he exclaimed, "Hey, 20 million is not a small amount of money. Are you really going to pay it back for her?" Tsunade also showed disbelief, looking at Kainai, as if he was looking at a fool, thinking, "This kid is too easy to fool. Stop talking nonsense, bring the IOU over here." Kainai waved his hand and said impatiently. Hearing this, the leading man saw that there were so many people around him, and he was not afraid that Kainai would default on the debt, so he took out a box and handed it to Kainai. Kainai threw the box to Tsunade without even looking at it, and said, "Hey, filial daughter, check if these are your bills and the amounts are correct." Filial daughter. Tsunade's mouth twitched, and she checked it as she was told. Looking at the familiar bills on it, each with her own signature on the back, her old face instantly turned red, and she nodded in shame. "My luggage is at the hotel. Follow me if you want money." Leaving this sentence, Kainai went straight to the hotel. His money was in the system warehouse, and he couldn't take it out in public. Otherwise, with Tsunade's eyesight, it would be inevitable that someone would see something. Seeing that Kainai seemed to really want to pay back the money, the leading man was bold and courageous. Because he had many subordinates, he was not afraid of Kainai's tricks. He followed him with doubt. Only Tsunade was left with a confused look on her face. She held the box full of receipts and said, "Is this boy stupid, or is he short of money? He actually paid me back." As she said this, she followed. Not long after they entered the hotel, a very innocent looking short-haired black beauty chased after them with a pet pig in her arms. Seeing Kainai and Tsunade walking into the tavern, she suddenly stopped and murmured, "Oh, is that what Tsunade-sama has left?" Back at the hotel, Kainai entered the room and took out a cash box directly from the system warehouse. He threw it in front of the big men, crossed his arms, and said in a domineering manner, "The money is here. Count it yourself, and return the extra money to me." Hearing this, the leading big man carefully opened the cash box. Seeing that there was actually money inside, his eyes lit up instantly, and he quickly put on a smile and ordered his subordinates to count the money. After a while, the big man honestly counted out the 20 million, returned the remaining money, and then left happily. There was no way, not being honest was not an option, because Tsunade had already followed. "Hey, did you really pay me back?" Tsunade looked at Kainai in astonishment. A hint of joy flashed across her eyes. My goodness, where did this big enemy come from? And he actually paid back the gambling debts he had owed for many years. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the perfect wind attribute chakra and property change. Yes, is there any problem? Seeing Tsunade's expression, which was so easy to understand, Kainai didn't know what she was thinking in his heart, and pretended to be innocent. That expression was like a fool who had never experienced the beatings of society, which made Tsunade embarrassed to cheat him again. "Let me make it clear in advance, I don't have the money to pay you back." Tsunade intended to let Kainai realize that he was being ripped off. After all, the reason why she relied on Kainai was just because the latter had looked at her with a squinty look before. She thought that the other party was a bohemian rich boy. With a bad taste in her heart, she wanted to play a prank, but now it seems that she was too suspicious. However, what she didn't know was that the real hunter often appeared in the form of prey. "I never intended to ask a gambler like you to pay back. Besides, I don't need this little money, and your acting just now was too poor." Kainai shrugged slightly. As soon as he finished speaking, a maid came over with a plate of wine and food. Kainai motioned the maid to take it into the room, and said to Tsunade, "Hey, filial daughter, are you interested in having a drink together?" He planned to see if he could continue to get something from Tsunade. What filial daughter? I have a name. Hearing this, Tsunade sighed helplessly. Although she said so, she followed Kainai into the house and sat down. She asked curiously, since you know that I'm cheating you, why do you still pay me back? I still know a little about the twists and turns of the casino. If you don't have the money to pay it back and are caught, I'm afraid your end will be worse than death. It's a pity for a beauty like you to end up like that. Kainai found a random excuse and poured a glass of wine for Tsunade and then poured another glass for himself. He wouldn't say that he was because of the system task. I can't see that you, a little kid, know how to cherish women. Tsunade showed a playful smile on her face. No woman doesn't like others to praise her beauty, and Tsunade is the same. She is a medical ninja. Seeing that there is nothing wrong with the wine, she picked up the wine glass and drank it all. Kainai smiled and didn't say much. He also picked up the wine glass and drank it all. However, he ignored the fact that this body was drinking for the first time. The next moment, he felt his throat burning and coughed violently, almost choking on tears. Haha. Kid, this is your first time drinking. You are still too young. You should be honest and wait until you are over 20 before drinking. Tsunade saw this and laughed, filled a glass by herself, and drank it again, praising, this wine tastes good. It's no big deal. Everyone has a first time. Kainai drank another glass. This time, it was much better than before, not so uncomfortable. Sharingan secretly activated, and the alcohol was evaporated immediately. Tsunade is not a perception type ninja, and did not find anything abnormal. Even if she has perception, she cannot sense the operation of the technique. Seeing that Kainai looked normal after drinking the wine, she couldn't help but look at him with a high look, and chuckled. Kid, I didn't expect you to adapt so quickly. Tell me, what's your name? Tell me. P.S. Chapter 1, asking for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Chapter 64. We still don't know what happened that night. Before asking someone's name, shouldn't you first tell them your own name? Kainai pretended not to know the other person. Besides, you look no more than 20 years old, not much older than me. Tsunade obviously didn't expect Kainai to say this, and her face turned red. She couldn't tell the other person that she had a way to keep her youthful appearance because of the 100 healings technique. Anyway, she would never say that her actual age was over 40. After a slight hesitation, Tsunade said seriously, my name is Tsunade. Tsunade? Kainai pretended to be puzzled and said, this name sounds familiar, as if I have heard it somewhere. There are many people with the same name in this world. There is no need to care. It was not easy to meet someone who could talk to her, and Tsunade didn't want to make the other person feel restrained because of her identity. I remember that it seems that the legendary 3 ninjas, the only female Tsunade, has this name. You can't be her. Kainai looked at Tsunade with expectation. How is it possible? Tsunade quickly rejected it. However, before she finished her words, Kainai's voice sounded again. That's right. I heard that Lady Tsunade is already nearly 50 years old. You are so young and beautiful. How could you be that old woman? As soon as the word old woman came out of her mouth, there was a bang, and the wine glass in Tsunade's hand was crushed. What's wrong? Kainai pretended to be puzzled. Nothing. Tsunade's face was gloomy and terrible, and she comforted herself in her heart that she would not argue with him. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 flavors of dishes, not long after, the wine on the table had been almost drunk. Tsunade's face flushed, and she was faintly drunk, while Kainai, who had secretly evaporated the alcohol, still looked normal. Hey, kid, you drank so much wine. How come you are not hurt at all? Tsunade said a little drunk. I'm from the north. We drink wine in bowls there, let alone this small few ounces of wine. Even if it's a jar, I can drink it all upside down. Kainai found a reason casually. Tsunade looked at Kainai with a hint of amusement. You brag without thinking. You little bragger. You really love to brag. You didn't choke on the wine before. It didn't seem like you were pretending. Just as Tsunade finished speaking, the door of the room was pushed open, and a beautiful woman with a pure appearance walked in with a pet pig in her arms. It was Shizune. She reminded Tsunade-sama, "You have drunk enough today, we should go back." While speaking, Shizune also glanced at Kainai inconspicuously. She always felt that she seemed to have seen him somewhere. "Oh, it's Shizune, you go back first. Now I'm debt free, I need to drink more." Tsunade did not notice the change in Shizune's expression, drank another glass, pointed at herself with her thumb, and said provocatively, "What do you think? Do you dare to compete with me?" At this moment, the system prompt sounded again in his mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the system option. 1. Bet with Tsunade on wine, punished, rewarded with observation haki. 2. Bet with Tsunade on wine, Overlord holds a hard crossbow, punished in front of Shizune, rewarded with armament haki. 3. Not betting on wine, worse than beasts, rewarded with Viagra * 99,999. Why not? Hearing the system prompt sound in his mind, Kainai didn't care about Shizune's eyes, smiled indifferently, called the store owner, and ordered a lot of good wine. He and Tsunade drank together. Seeing that the two of them were drinking excitedly, Kainai didn't look like a bad person. In addition, he was confident in Tsunade's strength. Shizune persuaded him again. In the end, he was stubborn and had to leave first. But she didn't leave too far. Instead, she stayed outside the hotel. Her duty is to protect Tsunade-sama with her whole life. Don't allow Tsunade-sama to be hurt. The first article, Tsunade. Thousands of words are omitted here. The next morning, it was just dawn. Kainai stood up from the bed with trembling legs, looked back at Tsunade, who was still sleeping soundly, and the corners of his mouth twitched fiercely. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the observation haki. It was not until the system prompt sounded that he felt a little comforted. He did not expect that Tsunade, who was blacking out due to drinking, would be so fierce. If it were not for Kain, who had practiced the Sharinganju and used natural energy to nourish his body for many years, he would have collapsed. After taking a deep look at Tsunade again, Kainai put on the Akatsuki uniform, left a box of money and a note, and disappeared in the room. As for the pure gold, he did not give it. If he had given it, without knowing its true purpose, there was no guarantee that this tiger woman would not exchange it for money. Slip away. If he does not leave, this tiger woman will wake up, and something big will happen. You know, in the original work, Jiraiya had several ribs broken, and was seriously injured and hammered to death, just because he peeked at Tsunade taking a bath. He does not want to fight with Tsunade. However, not long after he left, a scream resounded throughout the hotel. Shizune, who had been dozing outside the hotel, heard the familiar voice, and rushed in with her pet pig in her arms. As a result, she saw an astonishing scene. The room was in a mess. The table was full of wine bottles, and clothes were scattered all over the floor. There were clothes of Lady Tsunade and the clothes of the strange boy he had seen last night. As for the owner of the clothes, he had long disappeared. Only a cash box was left, and Tsunade herself was wrapped in a quilt in disheveled clothes, curled up in the corner and shivered. There was no time for Shizune to think about it. She hurriedly folded the bedding. Tsunade felt much better. Lady Tsunade, you are not asking questions. Shizune picked up Tsunade's scattered clothes on the ground, walked to the latter with red eyes, and put them on for her. She knew that, because of her negligence, Lady Tsunade had lost the most important thing for a woman. This was the secret treasure that her uncle had not had time to obtain. I'm fine. Tsunade's voice trembled. She was fine, but something strange happened. As the most outstanding medical ninja, how could she not know what happened to her? Last night, she proposed to compete with a little kid in drinking. Then she blacked out, and couldn't remember too much after that. She only vaguely remembered that it seemed that she took the initiative and mistook the other party for Shizune's uncle Kato. I'm going to settle accounts with that bastard. With a roar, tears could no longer be stopped from sliding down from Shizune's eyes. She turned around and was about to go out to settle accounts with Kainai, but she was pulled by Tsunade. Where are you going to find him? I guess he has already gone somewhere. At the end, Tsunade's voice was as soft as a mosquito, and her jade hands under the quilt twisted the note into a twist. What Shizune didn't know was that Kainai left a note, and Tsunade also read it after waking up. The reason why her clothes were disheveled was because of her hemophobia. Chapter 65. The famous scene of chopping the tailed beast with a sword. In the future, I will be responsible. This is the content of the note Kainai left on the cash box. Kainai stayed on the building Highland opposite the hotel for half an hour, watching Tsunade and Shizune carrying the cash box out of the hotel, and then saw them walk into the casino, as if nothing had happened. Only then did he leave with peace of mind and come to the meeting place agreed with Black Zetsu. This is a straight road with endless rice fields on both sides. It is the only way for the Fire Country to go to Tansho Street. It seems that you didn't rest well last night. The huge pitcher plant slowly drilled out from the ground. This was the first time Black Zetsu saw Kainai's listless expression, and he couldn't help but be a little surprised. It's okay, I drank some wine. Why, did Afei agree? Kainai changed the subject casually. It's not that he didn't rest well, it's that he rested too well. That scene is simply unforgettable. It was definitely the most difficult battle he had ever fought in his life. Until now, his waist is still a little sore. As long as Biwajuzo doesn't betray the organization, Afei won't mind having more elite Jonin in the Rain Village. Black Zetsu replied. That's good. Kainai nodded. As the two were talking, a guard team composed of ninjas and samurai came in from the front of the road, carrying a Japanese official sedan. It seems that the mission target has been reached, so the next step is up to you. As soon as Black Zetsu finished speaking, the huge pitcher plant slowly merged into the ground and disappeared. You really know how to order people around. Kainai stood in the middle of the road and pressed down the wind chime hat. With a symbolic seal with his right hand, there was a bang, the smoke dissipated, and several shadow clones sprang out of thin air, turning into after images and rushing towards the end of the road. After a while, there was a sound of fighting at the end. The sound of fighting came quickly and went away quickly. It was quiet soon. The Tansho Street mission was successfully completed. Late at night. Water Country, Mist Village, Mizukage Mansion. Kainai stood on a giant tree, listening to the screams coming from the mansion from time to time, and murmured, "Looks like we've been caught up. So what are you going to do next?" Black Zetsu asked as a giant pitcher plant emerged from a tree trunk nearby. "Do nothing. It won't be too late to take action at the critical moment." Kainai smiled faintly, turned his head, and said to Black Zetsu, "But that guy Afei is really insidious." Just to test the ability of Data Kako's right eye's manger key, he knew it was a trap, but he still gave Biwajuzo and Data Kako such a task. Their goal is similar to my previous mission in Tansho Street, which is to kill the crown prince who is expected to inherit the throne of the daimyo. Because the ninja village cannot interfere with the succession of royal power, they often hire powerful killer organizations like the Akatsuki. But the fourth Mizukage arranged the crown prince in his own mansion. And then he personally led the team to ambush around. Isn't this obviously killing someone with a borrowed knife, luring someone into a trap, and killing two birds with one stone? Or is it that the fourth Mizukage has actually been controlled by a fetish Sharingan? Otherwise, why would he be so obedient? Everything is done according to his script. Black Zetsu was secretly surprised after listening to Kainai's words. He didn't expect that Obito's plan was so easily guessed and seen through by Kainai. At this time, Biwajuzo and Uchiha Izumi in the mansion also noticed something was wrong. After solving the mission target, they rushed out of the Mizukage mansion. Then, the ninjas who were ambushing around, led by the 4th generation Mizukage Yagura, who were specifically hunting down the traitors of the hidden mist village, surrounded them. The two sides chased and fled. Biwajuzo performed the hidden mist technique to interfere with Yagura and the ninja's vision, but was easily blown away by Yagura's wind-style typhoon. Soon, the two were trapped in the encirclement of Yagura and the ninjas. Seeing this, Kainai couldn't help but get a little excited and thought to himself, here it comes, here it comes. The famous scene of chopping the tailed beast ball with a knife is finally coming. The next scene is not much different from the original. Juzo first used the water clone to induce the ninjas to distract their attention, and then Itachi took the opportunity to use illusions and shuriken to cooperate with Juzo to solve all the ninjas. Even the only remaining 4th generation Mizukage was engulfed by Itachi's fireball, but Itachi was still a rookie after all, too young, and had never expected that Yagura could complete the transformation into a tailed beast. He was accidentally hit by Yagura's coral palm, and his whole body was covered with corals. Unable to move, Biwajuzo swung his beheading sword to chop off the coral reefs wrapped around Itachi to free him. However, before he could finish the chopping, Yagura on the opposite side had already begun to accumulate the tailed beast ball. That is the tailed beast ball. Although it is not the complete three-tailed, it is deadly enough. What are you going to do? Black Zetsu saw everything below, turned his head to look at Kainai, but saw that Kainai had disappeared without a trace. White Zetsu, where is Kainai? Black Zetsu was suddenly startled. He had clearly sensed Kainai's chakra beside him just now, but how could he disappear? He didn't even notice how he disappeared. Within its perception range, it seemed that he disappeared out of thin air and completely lost his trace. I didn't notice it either. White Zetsu was also very surprised. At this moment, Yagura finally moved, and the tailed beast ball shot out from his mouth, fiercely shooting towards Biwajuzo and Itachi. Seeing that he couldn't dodge, Biwajuzo gritted his teeth, and just like in the original story, he didn't abandon Itachi and run away. Instead, he roared and swung the beheading sword to chop at the tailed beast ball. Boom. The beheading sword broke. Although it blocked most of the impact of the tailed beast ball, Itachi and Biwajuzo were still affected. His body flew backwards towards the tree behind him like a cannonball. Half of the beheading sword's blade also pierced Biwajuzo's vitals head-on. At the critical moment, Kainai, who had already performed the Kajika Shuiyu and used the observation haki to predict the flight trajectory of the blade, suddenly appeared. When the blade was about to sink into Juzo's vitals, he grabbed his shoulder and instantly moved to Zetsu's side. Looking at the blade again, after the dust from the explosion of the tailed beast ball dissipated, it turned into a dying Biwajuzang who was hit by a beheading sword. How did you do it? Black Zetsu looked at Kainai with horror. In a trance, the scene of Kainai's fake death on the night of the extermination of the clan was repeated again. However, the target of the fake death this time was not Kainai himself, but Biwajuzang. Even Itachi's Mangekyou Sharingan could not see through this. You won't forget my title in Konoha, right? What I'm really good at is neither ninjutsu nor taijutsu, but illusion. I just performed an ordinary illusion just now, Kainai said perfunctorily. At this time, Biwajuzang, who had just been in danger, also reacted and looked at Kainai and Zetsu with horror and confusion. Kainai and Zetsu, why are you? Biwajuzang wanted to ask Kainai why he suddenly appeared and why he wanted to save himself. You know, because of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Chiya is more notorious than Uchiha Itachi in the outside world and is known as the most vicious criminal in Konoha after Uchiha Madara. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 66. Orochimaru is about to be defeated. I said I just heard that you were in danger and I happened to pass by here. Do you believe it? Kainai looked at Biwajuzang with a smile and asked instead of answering. Hearing this, Biwajuzang shook his head at first, then nodded and said with a firm look, no matter what your purpose of saving me is, from today on, I owe you a life. If you want it in the future, you can take it anytime. That's why I admire you for this. After learning that the Mizukage had set an ambush, I decided to come all the way to rescue you. Kainai patted Biwajuzang on the shoulder, but don't worry, I'm not interested in taking your life. While the two were talking, the second tailed beast ball of the fourth Mizukage Yagura was ready to go. Itachi Biwajuzo was startled and wanted to go forward to rescue again, but was stopped by Kainai. Don't worry, the owner of the Mangekyou Sharingan is not that weak. As soon as the voice fell, Data Kako, who thought Juzo had been killed, had his right eye instantly covered with bloodshot. With a burst of focus, the Mangekyou Sharingan opened, and Yagura's body immediately ignited with a pitch black flame. The tailed beast ball was forced to stop, and Yagura was instantly burned and howled like a ghost, and exited the tailed beast state. This is... White Zetsu exclaimed. This was the first time he saw Amaterasu. If Kainai hadn't appeared, he would have to wait until many years later, when the two pillars fought with Data Kako, before he could see it. Kainai explained on the side, just like his left eye hosts the illusion of Tsukuyomi. This is the pupil technique that resides in Daisaio's right eye, Amaterasu. When activated, a black flame with powerful destructive power will ignite at the focus of the pupil, and the black flame will not disappear until the target is burned out. It can be called the highest level of pupil technique of the fire escape system. That's about it. How did you know? Black Zetsu looked at Kainai in surprise, and it felt more and more that it could not see through this young man who had no bloodline boundaries. Are you sure you want me to say it here? Kainai looked at Black Zetsu with a hint of amusement, and turned his eyes to Shizang, saying, Shizang, you must have experienced what happened today, and you know that you can hardly intervene in the future battles of the organization. Shizang responded, his tone full of helplessness. He knew very well that, if he lost the protection of the Akatsuki organization, it would be difficult to escape the pursuit of the Hidden Mist village in the future. But if he continued to stay in the Akatsuki organization, he might encounter desperate situations like today at any time, which really made him a little desperate. Kainai continued, then give up your position as a formal member of the Akatsuki organization, go back to the Rain Village, and serve as an elite jonin, train ninjas or become a captain of the Anbu. As long as you don't betray the organization, I'm sure the leader won't blame you. At this point, Kainai looked at Uchiha Itachi, who was looking at the illusion of Kagami Water Moon with a sad face. As for the guy Daisaozi, the leader will arrange a stronger partner for him. This is a good way out, but Juzang pondered for a moment, and asked hesitantly, why do you want to help me? Just because you can chop the tail beast ball with a knife for your companions, it's worth my saving. Kainai answered frankly, although I don't like the guy who killed his father and mother, if you just abandoned Daisaozi, then maybe I wouldn't save you. Is that so? Biwa Juzang suddenly realized, closed his eyes slightly, and fell into deep thought. After a moment, he opened his eyes and replied, I see. As he spoke, he took off the ring in his hand. Kainai took the ring, threw it to Black Zetsu without even looking at it, and then continued to say to Biwa Juzang, from today on, you have nothing to do with Uchiha Itachi. Do you want to take back the beheading sword? Biwa Juzang shook his head, just consider that I and the village have nothing to do with each other. Then let's go back. There will be a lot of fun in the organization this time. As he said this, Kainai took the lead, and rushed towards the outside of the Kurigakure village. Biwa Juzang heard this, and took another deep look at the beheading sword, that had been broken into 2 pieces on the ground, and followed closely. Only the black and white Zetsu were left holding the ring with a confused look on their faces. What a strange guy. Looking at the place where Kainai and the others disappeared, White Zetsu complained. Don't worry about it. Go and report what happened here to Afei. Black Zetsu said. Don't you need to take back the Three Tails Jinchuriki? White Zetsu couldn't help asking. It's not the right time yet. We haven't found out the information about all the Jinchuriki yet. If we rashly capture the tailed beasts, it will alert the 5 great nations. By then, capturing the tailed beasts will become more difficult. This must be done at the same time. Black Zetsu replied. As he spoke, the huge pitcher plant merged into the tree trunk and disappeared. It was still the dark cave, still the dark space. There was only a Zen lamp in the center, emitting a faint flame. One after another, the illusory figures of Akatsuki members appeared around the Zen lamp. Juzo has left the organization. This was the first sentence Pain said after he appeared. Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Itachi with some surprise, and said with a hint of playfulness, his teammate is Itachi, didn't Itachi stop him? Uchiha Itachi was also very surprised. He glanced at Orochimaru lightly and said indifferently, I saw Juzang die with my own eyes. He couldn't betray the organization. No, I'm not saying that he betrayed the organization. And he's not dead. He just gave up his position as an official member of Akatsuki, and he will still work for the organization in the future. Having said that, Pain looked at Kainai. Kainai nodded slightly and explained, while carrying out a mission with Itachi, Biwa Juzang encountered the Three Tails Jinchuriki and nearly died. I passed by on the way and secretly saved him. The future goal of the organization is to collect the tailed beasts. Even facing the Three Tails, which ranks low among the tailed beasts, he couldn't escape unscathed. I think he no longer has the strength to be a formal member of the Akatsuki organization, so I asked the leader to remove him from the position of a formal member. In other words, Itachi escaped unscathed from facing the 4th Mizukage, right? Hearing this, Orochimaru licked his thick and long tongue, and a hint of surprise and greed that was difficult to conceal flashed across his long golden snake pupils. He looked at Itachi again, just like Kainai looked at Makoto and Tsunade, as if they were treasures. And Itachi had a puzzled look on his face. He saw Biwajuzang die with his own eyes. Could it be that it was the special substitute that Kainai used last time in the Uchiha clan's territory? It looks like Orochimaru can't hold back any longer. I have to take this opportunity to blackmail him. Thinking this way, Kainai showed a slightly playful smile on his face. He had no intention of killing Orochimaru, and it was not worth it for him to do so for a filial son. If the snake uncle who mastered the core technology died, the future would be much less fun. He immediately threw the topic to Pin again. So, leader, have the new team partners been confirmed? The Akatsuki organization currently needs new members. We will confirm after the people arrive. After speaking, Pin lifted the illusion body technique. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 67 Blackmailing Orochimaru. The leader already knows about your matter and has agreed to it. Kainai exited the phantom state and turned his head to Biwajuzang, who was not far away. Thank you very much. Biwajuzang breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this, nodded to express his gratitude, and then asked, so where should we go next? Go back to the Rain Village? Or go back to the temporary base of the organization outside the Rain Village to take over the mission? You go back to the Rain Village first, where Konan will arrange everything for you. I will go back to the base. Although Kainai didn't have to go to hand over the mission in person because of the presence of Black Zetsu, the old sixth, but this time it was another famous scene where Orochimaru could be defeated. How could he miss it? Because they were on the same road. Kainai and the other two caught up with Uchiha Itachi in a short time, but there was no much talk between the two sides. It was just that Uchiha Itachi and Biwajuzang nodded to each other. Not far from the Rain Village, Biwajuzang separated from the two and went to the Rain Village. Kainai and Aizozi went to the base to hand over the mission to Pain. Thank you for the matter about Shizang. The two walked out of the cave in the base where they handed over the task. This was the first sentence that Aizozi said to Kainai in recent days. It's rare that someone like you knows how to be grateful. Kainai crossed his arms and looked at Uchiha Itachi with interest, but don't get me wrong, the reason why I saved Shizang was not for you, but I didn't want to see people like Shizang die in that kind of place. That's enough. Uchiha Itachi closed his eyes slightly. Kainai ignored him and disappeared from the spot in an instant. Came to the jungle stone steps, where Orochimaru's arm was cut off by Itachi in the original work, waiting for the two to meet. Not long after, Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi finally met. Orochimaru's mouth corners were slightly raised, and his face was wrapped in a gloomy and cunning smile. Looking at Itachi's eyes, greed and joy were almost overflowing. And Itachi still had that bitter face, as if he had never looked at Orochimaru from beginning to end. At the moment when the two passed each other, Orochimaru suddenly turned around, released a giant python from his sleeves, and instantly tied Itachi from behind. Do you know what eternal life is, Itachi? Orochimaru stood on the top of the stairs, looking down at Itachi, and said to him with a smug look, I don't know yet, so I need an excellent body. However, before he could finish his words, Kainai's voice rang out from the side. Ah, look what I saw. Hearing this, Orochimaru looked back and saw Kainai had appeared on the top of the stairs without knowing when, and then asked with a serious face, Kainai, are you going to stop me? No, you don't seem to understand the situation yet. Kainai shook his head. Nani? Orochimaru was stunned, and when he reacted, he had already been fixed by Itachi's illusion magic, the shackle technique, and stood there unable to move. And Uchiha Itachi was not bound by the giant python, and stood in front of Orochimaru. The two switched roles, and it was Uchiha Itachi who looked down at Orochimaru. From the beginning to the end, everything Orochimaru experienced was an illusion. I didn't expect that I would be hit by the immobilization technique. What a powerful eye power, it's so wonderful. Orochimaru was shocked and lost his voice. His pale face was bloodless and trembling slightly. Then he seemed to think of something, smiled evilly, and slowly closed his palms, intending to seal and break free from the illusion and catch Itachi off guard. but he still underestimated Itachi, who had fully awakened the eye power of the Manjaki Sharingan. Puff, a knife flashed, accompanied by the sound of a sharp blade cutting through the air. Orochimaru's left arm fell to the ground. Orochimaru, any of your moves will have no effect in front of my eyes. Uchiha Itachi glanced at Kainai from the corner of his eye and said to Orochimaru the words in the original book that cast a shadow over Orochimaru's life. Seeing this, Kainai knew that, if he continued to stay here, Orochimaru would probably be finished. Kabuto would never dare to show up to save Orochimaru. If there is no Orochimaru in the future, it means there will be less fun. He immediately glanced at Kabuto Yakushi, who was hiding in the dark. He activated the Sharinganju, raised his hand, and sucked the ring on Orochimaru's broken arm into his hand. It seems that I don't need to help. I will tell the leader about this matter later. It's up to you to decide how to deal with Orochimaru. After leaving this sentence, Kainai's figure flashed and disappeared in the stone steps jungle. Sure enough, as soon as Kainai left, Kabuto Yakushi immediately appeared and used Shuriken to sneak attack Itachi and force him back. Then he used the detonating talisman to feint, and took the opportunity to escape with Orochimaru and his broken arm. Itachi also had no intention of killing Orochimaru. He saw the greed for Sharingan in Orochimaru's eyes, so he came up with the idea of using Orochimaru's hand to cultivate the second pillar. In this thought, Itachi continued to move forward calmly, as if he had never been attacked by Orochimaru. But Orochimaru and Kabuto were in a bad situation, because they encountered Kainai, who had been waiting for a long time. Lord Orochimaru, those who can join the Akatsuki organization are not simple people. Seeing Kainai suddenly appear, Kabuto's forehead dripped with a drop of cold sweat, holding two kunai in his hands to block Orochimaru. Kabuto, get out of the way, Orochimaru said in a deep voice. But Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto wanted to say something, but the next moment he felt the murderous intent emanating from Orochimaru, and hurriedly stood behind him in dejection. Mr. Kainai, are you here to kill me? Orochimaru looked at Kainai with a serious face. If it were usual, he would naturally not be afraid of a rising star like Kainai. But after experiencing the blow given to him by Itachi just now, his mentality has changed. He deeply realized that genius cannot be described by common sense. Although Kainai does not have a Sharingan, to some extent, he is more dangerous than Itachi now. Now his left arm is broken. The combat power is greatly reduced. Before finding a suitable new body, if things go wrong, he and Kabuto will really be trapped here. It's really embarrassing, Uncle Orochimaru. You actually lost to Itachi's illusion of a mere 3 Magatama Sharingan, and lost an arm. In the end, you relied on your subordinates to escape. But you don't have a chance anymore. Kainai smiled contemptuously, and symbolically formed a seal with his right hand. The next moment, a huge tree suddenly emerged under the feet of Orochimaru and Kabuto, and tied up the two of them instantly. Then, with a flick of his sleeves, he took out the Zanpakuto Kyokusu Jetsu from the system warehouse and slowly walked towards the two of them. Looking at Kainai, who was approaching like the god of death, Kabuto, who was already trapped in the illusion, was horrified and turned his head to shout to Orochimaru, who was also bound. Lord Orochimaru, this is a Jinjutsu of Shinkiro. Orochimaru's face trembled slightly, and he was no longer as calm as before. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 68. Spiritual Beast, Zinaya. Orochimaru found that Kainai's attainment in illusion has surpassed that of Yuhi Shinku. Facing Kainai's illusion, he now has no power to resist. He immediately shouted to Kainai, "Kainai, you can't kill me. Give me a reason. Don't say stupid things like members of Akatsuki can't kill each other. Don't forget that you were the first to attack Itachi, the filial son. And looking at your posture, it seems that you are ready to defect from Akatsuki. Even if I kill you, the leader will not blame me." Kainai stopped, with a playful smile on his face, holding the mirror flower and water moon with his backhand, whispering, "Shatter it. Mirror flower and water moon." His real purpose is just to plant mirror flowers and water moons for the boss who has not grown up yet. By the way, blackmail Orochimaru again. Orochimaru thought for a moment and said, "Kainai-kun, I saw it a long time ago. The reason why you defected from Konoha and massacred the Sarutobi and Shimura clans is because Konoha can no longer satisfy you, right? You and I are both people who love ninjutsu. I have a lot of ninjutsu collections. I can give you whatever you want. I just like talking to smart people. Kanai smiled and put away his Zanpakuto. But I'm not interested in your disgusting ninjutsu like snakes spitting swords. It just so happens that I lack a decent summoning beast and a decent defensive ninjutsu. I heard that you signed a summoning contract with Ryochi Cave, one of the 3 holy places, and learned the Rashomon of the first Hokage. Oh, by the way, the flying thunder god used by the 4th Hokage and the 2nd Hokage is not bad. You are a disciple of that old man Sarutobi Hiruzen. You should have seen it. If you can teach me these 3 ninjutsu, then maybe I can pretend that I haven't seen you today. Orochimaru said, you have a big appetite. I can give you the scrolls of summoning contracts of Kanai-kun, Ryachidan and Rashomon. But not everyone can cultivate flying thunder god. You must have the talent of space-time ninjutsu. I didn't write it down because I couldn't learn it at the beginning. Then I'll owe it to you first. Hand over the other 2 scrolls. Hearing this, Kanai was not discouraged. No matter whether Orochimaru was telling the truth or a lie, he didn't have much hope. There will be plenty of opportunities to obtain flying thunder god in the future. Here you go. Compared with life, everything else is worthless. Hearing this, Orochimaru spit out 2 scrolls directly from his mouth. Just as he was about to spit at Kanai, Kanai's voice suddenly rang out. It's too dirty. Wipe the saliva on it first. As he spoke, Kanai lifted the illusion that bound Kabuto. He was defeated by 2 rising stars, Itachi and Kanai. At this moment, the anger in Orochimaru's heart has accumulated to the peak. When has he, Lord Orochimaru, ever been so aggrieved? But now the situation is stronger than people. In desperation, he had to suppress the anger in his heart, threw the scroll to Kabuto with his tongue, and said in a deep voice, Kabuto, wipe it clean. While saying this, he did not forget to wink at Kabuto. It's Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto responded respectfully, took out the spar from his arms, and began to wipe it carefully. Just as he was about to do something with the scroll, Kanai's voice rang in his ear again. You are Kabuto Yakushi, right? You are the adopted son of the late Yakushi Nonoyo of Konoha Orphanage. You are also an orphan. Although I sympathize with your experience and despise Danzo, if you dare to do anything in front of me, I can't forgive you. I think you should know that Danzo's left arm was cut off and cannot be restored. I have a way to kill you completely. Master Kanai, you are joking. How dare I do something in front of you? Kabuto Yakushi wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and responded with a smirk. It was not until Kabuto wiped the scroll clean that Kanai reached out to release his chakra and absorbed the scroll in Kabuto's hand. The things have been given to you. Orochimaru snorted coldly and said to Kabuto, Kabuto, help me remove the illusion. Let's go. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto responded and walked to Orochimaru's side, forming a seal with his right hand, trying to disrupt Orochimaru's chakra to remove the illusion, but found that it was impossible to remove it. At this time, Kanai's voice sounded again. Don't waste your energy. The duel of illusions is a duel of spiritual energy. With your little spiritual energy, you can't remove my illusion. Kanai, what do you mean by this? Orochimaru roared at Kanai, thinking that Kanai was going to cheat. Don't be so anxious. Since I took your things, I will naturally let you go today. But, don't you want to see what I can summon? While speaking, Kanai signed to scrolls directly in front of Orochimaru and Kabuto. Heizuyu Shenwei quickly formed seals with both hands. Spiritual summoning technique. With a huge blue chakra released from Kanai's palm, there was a bang, the smoke dissipated, and a red one-eyed anaconda with reverse scales appeared in the original place. Lord Orochimaru, this is... Kabuto Yakushi stood behind Orochimaru, looking up at the huge monster in front of him with a look of horror. Orochimaru was also shocked. A drop of cold sweat flowed down his forehead, and he trembled and said, I didn't expect that he would actually summon this monster. Kanai summoned not the 10,000 snakes, but the one-eyed red snake with reverse scales that live deep in the nest of the most violent group of snakes in the Ryochi cave, Zenaya. An existence that is superior to the 10,000 snakes. Moreover, in this era when the fighting power has not collapsed, Zenaya is not comparable to the Zenaya in the fan work Boruto, who was fooled around by a few second generation rich kids. It is a real monster. I thought it would be Orochimaru's manja, but it turned out to be you. Kainai stood on top of Zinaya's head and whispered in surprise. At the same time, Zinaya also noticed Orochimaru and the other two. He roared at Orochimaru in a tyrannical voice, "You are a human who signed a spiritual contract with Manja, right? Who allowed you to summon me?" As he spoke, Zinaya spit out a violent wave of air from his mouth, blowing Kabuto away, and Orochimaru himself was blown open with his mouth and eyelids turned up. But Orochimaru did not show any fear on his face, but a sinister smile appeared, looking at the top of Zinaya's head with gloating. "Haha. Zinaya, don't get me wrong, it's not me who summoned you out. Now, he is not in a hurry to escape. Anyway, as long as he doesn't blatantly defect from the Akatsuki organization, he will not be hunted down by other members of the Akatsuki organization. Now he only needs to guard against Kainai alone. He wants to see how Kainai can subdue this monster Zinaya. PS. Second update, please recommend on monthly votes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, New Team Member, Burning Escapee Kang. Following Orochimaru's gaze, Zinaya realized that a human had been standing on his head. Without saying a word, he violently shook his head and threw Kainai directly over his head. Kainai did a backflip and landed safely. "Your name is Zinaya, right? This is not the right attitude to treat your master." As Kainai spoke, lightning flashed in his right hand, and the Sharinganju quietly activated. Accompanied by a burst of chirping birds, the chirping birds turned into chirping spears over 100 meters long and shot towards Zinaya. As a big snake in the Ryochi cave, Zinaya has a huge amount of fairy chakra in his body. He also has perception and agility. Sensing the threat of Kainai's fairy version of the chirping spear, the huge snake body quickly squirmed and easily avoided Kainai's attack. The throat rolled, and a huge amount of fairy chakra gathered, and the liquid with petrification effect was ready to go. However, he didn't know that Kainai did it on purpose. With the help of his observation, he knew all of Zinaya's actions. At the moment, when Zinaya dodged the attack of Chidori's sharp spear, the lightning spear turned into a lightning whip, wrapping around Zinaya's huge body. Then he pulled it hard. Hiss, accompanied by a painful scream, Zinaya's proud head was directly pulled down from the air by Kainai's lightning whip and hit the ground hard. The petrified liquid that had not yet been sprayed out of his mouth also overflowed, and the surrounding flowers and plants were all petrified. "Lord Orochimaru, is this still something a ninja can do?" Yakashi Kabuto swallowed hard and looked at Orochimaru in horror. "Let's go." At this moment, Orochimaru didn't care about the illusion that had not been solved. There was such a big commotion here. If nothing unexpected happened, members of Akatsuki were coming one after another. If Kainai and Uchiha Itachi said something to each other and confirmed the fact that he had defected from Akatsuki, then he would be completely finished. Hearing this, Kabuto Yakashi followed his instructions and carried Orochimaru away. Before leaving, he did not forget to leave a smoke bomb to hide the escape route and interfere with Kainai's sight. Kainai ignored them, but came to Zinaya in an instant and cut off the reverse scale between its eyebrows with a Chidori. "Now you should be honest, Zinaya." Kainai chuckled. "Please forgive my offense, master. According to habit, Zinaya will become gentle if his reverse scale is taken away." Hearing Kainai's words, he hurriedly apologized. At this time, the two Absolute Black and White who were the first to notice the movement rushed over. A huge pitcher plant emerged from the ground. Black Zetsu looked at the behemoth bound by Kainai's thunder whip with some surprise and couldn't help asking, "Kainai, what happened?" Kainai said "Oh," and turned around and talked nonsense seriously. "Orochimaru attacked Itachi not long ago and wanted to seize his body, but failed. After that, he wanted to defect from Akatsuki, but I intercepted him. Who knew that guy had no martial ethics and actually summoned this giant snake to cover his retreat, and then took the opportunity to run away. But you don't need to worry. This giant snake has been subdued by me. From now on, it will become my summoning beast, bleeding for the organization, and sweating for the organization. Having said that, Kyana looked at Zenaya on the side, stroked its big head, and said with a smile, "Am I right, Zenaya?" "Yes, master. But can you remove the thunder escape from me?" Zenaya feels so uncomfortable. Zenaya said pitifully. Kyana twitched his lips. "Please, you are a big male snake. Don't say such words that are easy to be misunderstood." As he spoke, Kyana removed the lightning whip from Zenaya's body. Zenaya felt much better, but his scales were covered with traces of being burned by lightning. Looking at the interaction between the man and the snake, Black Zetsu did not doubt too much. After all, Orochimaru had been ill-intentioned towards Itachi since a long time ago. It didn't seem surprising that he would attack Itachi. "Okay, go back and heal your wounds. I will call you when I need you in the future." Kyana waved his hand impatiently. "Yes, master," Zenaya said respectfully, and with a bang, the smoke dissipated, and the whole huge body disappeared on the spot. At this time, except for Konan who was in the Rain Village to protect Pain's body, all the members of the Akatsuki organization came one after another. Obito's transformation of a fairy was also among them. "What happened here, Kyana? What happened to that big snake just now?" This was the first sentence that Pain said after seeing Kyana. Orochimaru betrayed the organization and ran away. As he spoke, Kyana said the words he had already thought of, and attached Orochimaru's ring. Pain raised his hand, and the ring automatically floated into his hand. He neither believed nor disbelieved Kyana's words, but looked at Uchiha Itachi. "Itachi, is that so? Orochimaru did attack me not long ago, but I didn't expect him to betray the organization." Uchiha Itachi looked at Kyana deeply and answered, "What's so strange about this? That stinky snake always likes to put his personal affairs before the organization." Scorpion took over the topic. He had long been dissatisfied with Orochimaru. Pain said, "Although I don't want to let Orochimaru escape, the number of members is too small at present." As soon as he finished speaking, a fairy appeared out of nowhere. Hey, let me join." "Go away." Scorpion, who was hiding in the puppet leech, glared at a fairy, and the latter's voice immediately weakened. Scorpion said to Pain, "Chief, I knew that the boy was unreliable. Leave everything to me. His subordinate Kabuto is similar to my puppet doll. I will soon find his hiding place. Don't worry, your partner has been arranged. I originally arranged it for Kyana, but now it seems that it is more suitable to partner with you." Pain shook his head. He was talking about Deidara. "Then Chief, you won't let me stay with Black Zetsu, the old man, will you? If you continue like this, I can't guarantee that I won't do the same thing as Kakuzu and harm my teammates." Kyana immediately became anxious when he heard it. He didn't want to stay with Zetsu anymore. If he was in the same team with Zod, at least he would have free flights. "White Zetsu. Black Zetsu. Don't worry, your teammates have been chosen. Zetsu will continue to act alone and collect intelligence from now on," Pain said, "but to ensure everything goes well, you have to go with Scorpion when we hunt down Orochimaru." "I have no objection to that." Kyana shrugged slightly, "But I'm curious, who are the teammates you have prepared for me?" Pain didn't keep him in suspense. "I've thought about it carefully. According to your personality, even if I arrange other male members for you, I estimate that conflicts will arise soon. Therefore, after careful consideration, I specially selected a woman for you. That is Yi Kang, who is known as the hero of the Sand Village. P.S. First update, asking for recommendation votes and monthly votes. Thanks to Red Autumn, Kain Rinksuhi, Book Friend asterisk 1323, Book Friend asterisk 1927, Dream Together, Book Friend asterisk 7903, Splitting Mage Yao. G Marshall Morning Heaven Leaking, for their award of 100 starting coins. Thanks to Lonely City Star Universe, for their award of 1500 starting coins. Get Some, Handsome and Elegant Walk for Once, for their award of 500 starting coins. Chapter 70 Pain tries to stop Kanai from approaching Xianan. That woman doesn't look like the type to betray the village. Scorpion was born in the Sand Village and was the trigger for the Third World War. Naturally, he knew the Scorch Release Yakira who had made great contributions to the Sand Village in the Third World War. He knew very well that she was not a ninja who would betray the village. Maybe it was like that before, but it's different now. After saying that, Pain looked at Black Zetsu, who nodded and explained, according to the information just received, the 4th Mizukage is dead, and the elder of the Kurigakure village, the master, recommended Darumi Mei, who possesses the bloodline limit of melting release and boiling release, to be the 5th Mizukage. In order to sign a peace treaty with the Kurigakure village, the Sand Village high-level officials decided to sacrifice Yi Kang in accordance with the master's conditions. Yi Kang herself was unaware of this. If nothing unexpected happens, she will definitely die on this trip. If we save her, based on her hatred for Sand Village and Kurigakure, she will definitely agree to join the organization. Hearing this, Kanai suddenly realized. Although he vaguely remembered that Yi Kang was betrayed to the Kurigakure village by the 4th Kazekage Rasa, Gaara's father, the original work only mentioned it in passing, and did not describe any specific timeline. He did not expect it to be now. As expected, after Yagira was half burned by Itachi Amaterasu, he was saved by Meitarumi and the elder of the Hidden Mist village, the master, and then instructed his confidant, the Baiyan killer Ryo, to use the Byakugan obtained in the Third Ninja World War to remove Obito's illusion. However, Yagira was seriously injured and could no longer suppress the three-tail in his body. After informing Meitarumi and other high-level members of the Hidden Mist village about being manipulated by Akatsuki, in order not to endanger the village, he chose to commit suicide and die with the three-tail. It was not until several years later that the three-tail was resurrected and lived in a lake, and was eventually captured by Deidara and Obito. In this way, it is clear. P.S. This paragraph may be forced into a circle, but in the original work, any member of the Akatsuki organization is indispensable, otherwise they will lose their souls, so Yi Kang can only be dragged in. At least he has a beautiful back, that's really dark. It seems that the so-called 4th Kazekage is the same as the 3rd Hokage and Anzo. He attacks hard internally, and is weak externally. He is not good at anything, and is the best at internal fighting. If these guys don't die, Sand Village and Konoha will die in their hands sooner or later. At this point, Kayana looked at Sasori with interest and chuckled. Scorpion, if you hadn't defected from the Sand Village, with your own talent and strength, in addition to the relationship between your grandmother and uncle, would you have become the 4th Kazekage now? Who cares? Hearing this, Sasori glanced at Kayana unhappily, and then fell into deep thought. Although he didn't know how Kayana knew so much about him, if his parents hadn't died, he might really have been able to move towards the direction of Kazekage. Although it's too late to say anything now, that's it. Don't be angry, I just said it casually. Kayana had no ill feelings towards Scorpion. On the contrary, he liked this tragic character very much in his previous life. He smiled awkwardly, and turned his head to Pin and said, then, leader, leave this matter to me. When we set off, just let Zion send me a message. Pin nodded. Since the last incident of the 4th Mizukage, although the Kurigakure village did not defend itself, it seems to have a vague suspicion of our Akatsuki organization. We may encounter the elite troops of Kurigakure at that time. Do you need me to send you more personnel? Kayana shook his head. No, too many people will make it easier for Kurigakure to target you. Just let Black Zetsu, the 6th one, lead the way for me. If the leader really cares about my safety, you can send Zion. Before Kayana finished speaking, Pin interrupted directly, then let Black Zetsu lead the way for you. Nagato, who was hiding at the top of the clock tower of Rain Village, twitched his mouth fiercely. He always felt that Kayana had bad intentions towards Zion. Or in other words, he had bad intentions towards any beautiful female ninja. He is a complete LS, just like his teacher Jiraiya. The only difference is that Kayana is younger and has a face that is very attractive to women. Konan is a close friend of his and Yahiko, so he has to be on guard. He must not let Konan fall into Kayana's trap. Okay then. Kayana had no choice but to nod and agree. There would be plenty of opportunities in the future anyway. What about me? Team up with Itachi. Ever since Kayana destroyed 4 of his hearts last time, Kakuzu has had a psychological shadow on Kanai. After the two finished talking, he finally dared to stand up and ask about his own affairs. You will act alone for the time being. Pin turned his gaze to Uchiha Itachi. I have prepared other partners for Itachi. Leader, in that case, won't we have 11 members? By the way, are there enough rings in the organization? Kai and I looked around. The middle school boy Obito, the anti-rice pain, the part-time worker Kakuzu, the love-starved boy Sasori, the filial son Itachi, the yin-yang escape product Zetsu, plus himself and the wealthy woman Konan who was not present, as well as Kisame, Deidara, and Hakura who are about to join the Akatsuki organization. Excluding the trainee Obito. That's already 10. Kakuzu's partner will be hidden, if nothing unexpected happens. Including the masochist hidden, that's 11. Chiya clearly remembers that there were only 10 rings in the original work. Because Orochimaru defected and took the ring away, even if Obito later joined Akatsuki as a formal member, it was after Sasori died and he got his ring. Where did the 11th one come from? Only 10 of these rings were made at the beginning. Although it is more troublesome to make, it is not a big problem to make one more. Pain replied lightly, looking around, and finally fell on Itachi and Chiya. Itachi, you will go meet your new partner later, and then go to the Land of Earth with Sasori tomorrow, to welcome the new members. Kai and I, please stay here for the time being. When there is news from the Sand Village, Konan will notify you. Disperse. After saying that, Pain was the first to disappear from the spot. The others also left one after another. In the end, only Kanai and Obito were left on the scene. What exactly happened to Orochimaru just now? Obito switched back to the tone of Uchiha Madara and questioned Kanai. Didn't I make it very clear just now? Kanai shrugged slightly. Do you think I will believe it? With your strength, you can completely cut off Orochimaru's wrist and even his head before he performs the summoning technique. Obito narrowed his eyes slightly. Kanai smiled awkwardly. You really can't hide anything from you. Let me tell you this, Orochimaru took out the Raichi cave summoning scroll and the first Hokage summoning technique Rashomon to buy my life and let me spare him, so I sold it. At worst, I won't hold back next time. I hope you can do what you say. Obito didn't dare to push too hard. Hearing this, he snorted coldly, displayed his Kamu, and disappeared from Kainai's sight. You are really a middle school guy. Kanai curled his lips, and his figure flashed, rushing towards the direction of Rain Village. I haven't seen Mrs. Izumi and Mrs. Mikoto for 3 or 4 months. To be honest, I really missed them. PS. Second update. The extra chapter is in the fan group on the introduction page. Chapter 71 My wife is injured. What is happiness? Happiness is that, if you are hungry, and I happen to have a piece of bread in my hand, then I'm happier than you. If you have diarrhea and are sweating profusely looking for the toilet, but find that the last toilet is occupied by me, at this time, I'm happier than you. If you have been single since birth and have never seen a woman for most of your life, and you think a sow is beautiful when you see it, but there is a beautiful woman and wife taking a bath in the bathroom in my room, then I'm happier than you. It is now 8:03 p.m. Just now, Kanai just returned to his residence and heard the sound of running water in the bathroom. It seems that someone is taking a bath. Kanai released his observation haki to sense it and found that it was Mrs. Mikoto in the bathroom. And Kwan was in Zayanan's room. The two slept together and were talking about some girls' whispers. Obviously, during the time I was away, the relationship between Kwan and Zayanan developed rapidly and had grown into a close friend. At this time, Kanai, who had eaten meat once in Tansho Street, had two choices in his mind. Choose to look or not. Don't get me wrong, this is not a task triggered by the system, but the most real thought in Kanai's mind. If you look, it means beast. But if you don't look, it's even worse than beast. Kanai is a pure child. So he decided to let God decide. Toss a coin. If the front side is facing up, then take a look. If the back side is facing up, then take a peek. If it's upright. Damn, if you can throw it in such a cool posture, then of course you can watch it, as long as you want. Thinking of this, Kanai ran out of the house, and took out a coin from the Naruto world from the system warehouse. He used the throwing technique of shuriken to embed it into the gap in the ground. Then the question is, how should he look now? Is it possible to use mirror flowers, water moons or illusions? No, don't even rely on hypnosis or illusions to pick up girls, then it's too outdated. It's better to enter the palace with a knife. But if not, what should I do? The bathroom was decorated very tightly, with no gaps to be found. If the bathroom door was opened rashly, Mrs. Makoto would most likely discover it. Although the observation haki can detect the movements inside clearly, it cannot see the specific scene. Alas. This is the sadness of not having the ability to see through. If I had known earlier, I should have found a way to get the Byakugan from the Hyuga family. Just when Kayanai was distressed, perhaps because of the noise he made when he opened the door before, Makoto in the bathroom somehow sensed that there was someone in the living room, so she asked tentatively, "Who is outside? Is it you, Kwan?" Kayanai was stunned. Has he been discovered? I haven't even had time to start peeping. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have tossed a coin. Next time before entering the door, I will directly use the observation haki to detect in advance. Then be careful, and don't make a sound. Unfortunately, the matter was already settled. Kayanai had no choice but to respond with a little regret. "Madam, it's me." Kayanai Makoto obviously didn't expect Kayanai to come back at this time, and she was taking a bath, so she was immediately frightened. With a thump, Makoto fell to the ground, and at the same time, she screamed. Makoto was lying on the ground. Kayanai sensed her movements with her vision, and there was a small sound of pain in the bathroom. She tried several times to get up, but gave up every time in the pain. It seems that it is impossible for her to get up by herself. Kayanai knew that Kwan was in Zyadinen's room. There was a perception barrier set up 30 meters away from Zyadinen's room. If he ran to Zyadinen's room and knocked on the door in the middle of the night, he would be greeted by her paper shuriken mixed with detonating talismans. Although he had 1,000 ways to avoid it, it was not good to run, to disturb others' rest in the middle of the night. Help? Or not? This is a question. A senior told us that, if you die under the peony flowers, you will be romantic as a ghost. Another senior said, don't do evil even if it's small. Another senior said, no matter how beautiful a woman is, she will catch a cold if she lies on the ground for a long time. Another senior said, oh my god, Mrs. Makoto fell down because of me. If I don't save her, I'm worse than an animal. Kayanai hesitated for a moment and bravely knocked on the bathroom door. Madam, what's wrong with you? Did you fall down? Kayanai, don't come in. I haven't put on my clothes yet. Can you help me call Kwan over? She's in Miss Zyadinen's room. Makoto's cheeks were flushed in the bathroom, and she tried to stand up, but still failed. Zyadinen's room is a forbidden area for men. She is the leader's sister. If I approach rashly, I'm afraid the leader of this organization will not let me go. Kayanai used a trick of playing hard to get. What should I do? Makoto was a little embarrassed after hearing this. She couldn't let Kayanai in. Don't worry, I'll come in and save you. Don't worry, I'll close my eyes and won't peek. As he spoke, Kayanai really closed his eyes, leaving only a crack between his eyelids, grabbed the door of the room, and turned it counterclockwise. It couldn't be opened. The door was locked from the inside. Miscalculated. Kayanai patted his head. But it doesn't matter, the lock-picking technique is a required course during the Ando period of Konoha. He casually took out a 1000 blade from the system warehouse, inserted the sharp corner of the 1000 blade and twisted it, and with a bang, the door opened. However, the next moment, Kayanai's eyes widened instantly, and he even forgot to close his eyes. Looking at Makoto, who was sitting on the floor of the bathroom in pain, he screamed, "Why are you wearing clothes? Are you okay? Where are you hurt?" Kayanai clearly heard that she had just fallen not long ago, and there was still water running in the bathroom, but now she had a set of black gauze pajamas on her body. Could it be that she was wearing clothes when she was taking a bath? This is not a good habit. Just now the soap fell to the ground. I accidentally stepped on it and hurt my knee. Makoto lowered her head shyly. Her cheeks were flushed, and even her neck was quickly painted with a layer of pink. Are you okay, ma'am? Let me take a look. Since Makoto was wearing clothes, Kayanai didn't need to close his eyes. He squatted down and lifted Makoto's legs. The skin on her knees was rubbed, and there were dark purple bruises. He asked distressedly, does it hurt? A little, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Mikoto was also a ninja. She had suffered serious injuries before, but unfortunately, the location of the injury this time made it impossible for her to stand up. Can you move? Kayanai continued to ask. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 36 Kayanai's Revenge. Extermination of the clan has been reset. Chapter 72 Sasuke has a father again. It should be a little difficult. I just stood up and put on my pajamas, but it hurts. Mikoto tried to move her legs while speaking, frowning in pain. Don't move. I'll carry you into the room first, then apply some medicine to you. Bandage it, and it should be fine soon. Mikoto heard this. After a slight hesitation, she nodded slightly. Kayanai picked up Mikoto and walked towards her room. Although the two have known each other for many years and are quite familiar with each other, this is the first time they have such close contact. It was autumn and the weather had not yet completely turned cold. Mikoto was only wearing a thin pajamas. Kayanai held Mikoto's butt and his body temperature suddenly rose. He silently recited the Ice Heart Sutra in his heart. If the heart is as clear as ice, the sky will not fall. This is not a butt. This is not a butt. Mikoto lay in Kayanai's arms, listening to his rapid heartbeat and breathing, and also faintly sensed something strange. Her eyes trembled slightly, and she did not dare to look up at Kayanai's face. The beautiful face was almost red to the roots behind her ears. This was the first time Kayanai entered Mikoto's room, and he felt very warm. There was only one memorial tablet in the room, which made people feel a little out of place. This was Fugaku's. There was also an urn of his ashes on it. The room was very clean and there was a faint fragrance. Kayanai gently placed Mikoto on the bed, brought a stool, bent down, sat opposite her, and gently massaged her wound until the blood bruises disappeared. After groping in the wide cuffs of the Akatsuki robe, he took out the necessary potions and cotton balls for ninjas from the system warehouse to wipe them. Kayanai, when did you come back? In order to avoid making the atmosphere too awkward, Mikoto chose to find a topic to divert attention. I came back in the afternoon. Because a traitor appeared in the organizer, it took some time, but it's nothing serious. Kayanai replied. The scene fell into silence again. Kayanai was a little unfamiliar with this kind of first aid. His hands holding the cotton wool trembled, and because of improper force, the disinfectant seeped into the wound from time to time. The wound touched the cotton soaked with disinfectant, and immediately a burst of pain and itchiness ran through it, causing Mikoto to frown and groan in pain from time to time. It's done. After a while, the bandage was finally completed. Kayanai breathed a sigh of satisfaction, and raised his face. The distance between the two of them was instantly shortened to the point where their cheeks were almost touching. The two of them froze. Mikoto's skin was very white. Although she was over 30 years old, the years had never left a trace on her face. Instead, she became more mature, like the white snow in winter. Her black eyes seemed to be rippling, and every time she blinked, her long eyelashes swayed gently. Going down, there was a beautiful and pointed nose bridge, and lips that bloomed with anxiety and exhaled hot air. Her thin shoulders trembled slightly, and her long hair like a waterfall swayed with it. Kayanai looked a little absent-minded. At this moment, the long-lost system prompt sounded in his mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for triggering the system option. 1. Send today's first kiss. Reward A-level ninjutsu Rasengan. 2. Punish him in front of the spirit of Fugaku. Reward 10 senzu beans from the Dragon Ball world. 3. Do nothing, worse than an animal. Reward Viagra asterisk 99.99.99. Option 1 and option 2 can be stacked. Please choose. Senzu beans? Kayanai's eyes lit up. He didn't care much about the Rasengan. After all, as long as he wanted to learn, he could learn it in a few days, as long as he knew the original practice method. But senzu beans were different. This senzu bean was almost equivalent to a life. As long as you eat it, no matter what kind of injuries, even broken arms and legs, a big hole in the chest, as long as you still have a breath, after eating it, it will be completely healed. I didn't expect that such a thing could be brushed out of my wife. If it were usual, he might have backed off. But since he ate meat from Tsunade, he no longer cared so much. His life motto is that, as long as the other party doesn't have a husband, if you like it, then go after it boldly. After a little hesitation, Kainai kissed her bravely. The second chapter, Makoto. Thousands of words are omitted here. The next morning. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the A-level ninjutsu Rasengan. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 senzu beans in the Dragon Ball world. Listening to the system prompt in his mind, Kainai pursed his lips, and a faint smirk appeared at the corner of his mouth. By the way, fulfill Fugaku's last wish, and revive the Uchiha. Although the child is unlikely to have the surname Uchiha. At this moment, Makoto is already dressed neatly. The beautiful cheeks are no longer as gentle and kind as before. Indistinctly, it seems that a trace of coldness can be seen, and there is a feeling of not admitting the blame. She said in a deep voice, "Don't let anyone know about what happened last night, including Kwan." Then next time Kainai licked his lips. Makoto's beautiful eyes trembled, and her silver teeth almost bit through her lips. With her personality, she would definitely not agree to face anyone other than her late husband. Not to mention Kainai, a teenager who is the same age as her eldest son. But the words came to her mouth, but were stuck in her throat. In the end, she swallowed them back with her breath. On the one hand, she was shouldering Fugaku's last wish to revitalize Uchiha, and her sense of guilt was greatly reduced. On the other hand, both men and women are creatures of appearance, and facing Kainai, a handsome man with excellent appearance and strength, and who is very good at teasing. More or less, they are a little greedy. The only pity is the age difference between the two. She will get old first one day. Will the other party still like her by then? Let's talk about it next time. Makoto turned her head expressionlessly. Her jade hand gently supported her chest and looked at Fugaku's spirit tablet full of guilt. She clearly felt her cheeks getting hot and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. She actually became attached to this little man. It's really sorry for the dead Fugaku. Thank you, madam. Kainai walked to Makoto with a light smile, put his hands on her shoulders, and said softly, "Madam, how is your injury? Is it better now?" "You still say that?" Makoto glared at Kainai in reproach. Originally, after applying the medicine and a night, even if the injury cannot be healed, it should not be a big problem to walk. Not to mention walking, it is considered good if the injury has not worsened. PS. Second update, please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. Thank you all for your reward and support. Chapter 73 Uchiha Izumi is outside the door. Reset. "Madam, I have something for you." Kainai took out a senzu bean from the system warehouse. He planned to give one to his wife and Izumi, just in case. "What is this?" "Beans?" Makoto asked with some confusion. "This is not an ordinary bean, but a senzu bean. Just eat one, and you won't be hungry for 10 days. It has a very strong recovery power. As long as a person is not dead, he can recover his physical strength and energy in the shortest time in extreme fatigue, and adjust his body to the best state," Kainai explained. "Is it true?" Makoto looked incredulous. "Do you want to try it?" Kainai handed the senzu bean to Makoto's mouth. Makoto opened her red lips as she was told, but before Kainai could put the beans into her mouth, she suddenly thought of something, pushed Kainai's hand away, and shook her head, saying, "Forget it, it's just a minor injury, and I will recover in a few days. You are a rebel now, and you often go out. Compared to me, you need it more. Madam really knows how to care for people." Kainai smiled and said solemnly, "But don't worry, I have more than one of these things. You put it away for emergency use. This thing can save lives at critical moments. I will also give it to you later." Hearing this, Makoto couldn't refuse anymore. If she put away the beans, she would seem sentimental. "I'll let Zianan come to help you treat your leg injury later. She should know some medical ninjutsu. This is my second gift to you." Seeing Makoto put away the beans, Kainai immediately took out the piece of pure gold from the pirate world. Under Makoto's surprised eyes, she cut off a small piece of the scraps, used the fire attribute chakra to create a flame in her palm, and melted it into a brand new gold ring. "Isn't this too fast?" Looking at the ring in Kainai's hand, Makoto thought that the former was proposing marriage. Her cheeks flushed, and even her neck was smeared with a layer of pink. "Then consider it as preparation in advance." Kanai smiled lightly, without much explanation, used the water attribute chakra to cool it down, and put it on the ring finger of Makoto's left hand. Then he kissed her gently. From today on, you are my wife to be. Hearing this, Makoto was distracted for a moment, and then she saw Kanai's aggressive eyes, and she panicked and trembled. What do you want to do? I want to. Kanai smiled mischievously. Just as he was about to continue to fulfill Fugaku's last wish, Kwan suddenly knocked on the door. Aunt Makoto, the meal is ready. I just heard from Sister Zayanan that Kanai is back. Have you seen her? With a plop, Makoto's heart instantly rose to her throat. She felt like she was caught in bed and almost screamed. Kanai had no intention of stopping and quickly covered her mouth and made a shushing gesture until Makoto nodded. Then he let go and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, just say that I came back last night and went out again this morning. I will be back later. Oh, Kanai went out this morning and will be back later. Hearing this, Makoto hurriedly repeated Kanai's words. Really, that guy came back without even saying hello. Kwan's resentful voice sounded outside the door, and then he said, then we won't wait for him. Aunt Makoto, come out and eat. I've already prepared breakfast. Kwan, you go eat first. I accidentally had insomnia last night and didn't sleep well. I need to make up for it. You don't have to wait for me. Kanai spoke without waiting for Makoto to reply, but the strange thing is that the voice he made was exactly the same as Makoto's. Makoto looked at Kanai in shock. Kanai smiled, and he released the mirror flower and water moon. It's just a small illusion. Now no one can hear the sound in the room. Let's continue. Half an hour later, Makoto limped out of the room. Aunt Makoto, are you okay? What's wrong with your knee? Kwan hurried forward to support her. No, nothing. I accidentally fell while taking a bath last night. I have applied medicine. I will be fine after a few days of rest. Makoto said with a guilty conscience. She really couldn't say what happened last night and what happened just now. Really, Kanai is too careless. He didn't even tell me when he saw you fall. Izumi puffed up her cheeks. Actually, you can't blame him. After all, he has a lot of things to do. Makoto tried to defend herself. At this moment, there was a creak, and the door of the room opened, and Kanai walked in. At the same time, Zayanan came in with a medical package in her hand. I heard from Kanai that you were injured, so I came to see you. This was the first and only sentence Zayanan said. The next step was to start treatment. Kanai pulled Izumi to sit aside and asked curiously, Izumi, is she usually so cold to you? Izumi tilted her head. No, Zayanan is usually very nice, and we often cook together. Then why does he always have a face as if someone owes him money? Kanai asked with a puzzled look on his face. How could he know that this was something Nagato had specifically told him? It was said that Kanai was the same type of person as Jiraiya. Zayanan, who originally had a good impression of Kanai, suddenly dropped her favorability towards Kanai to the bottom. This is what happened now. Kwan thought for a moment and replied, maybe you and Sister Zayanan are not too familiar with each other. After all, every time you go out, it takes so long. While the two were talking, Makoto's injuries had been healed. It's healed. Rest for a day and you should be back to normal tomorrow, Zayanan said to Makoto expressionlessly. Thank you, Miss Zayanan. Makoto nodded to express her gratitude. Have a good rest. Zayanan still has a good impression of Makoto. This is a very gentle and kind woman. She comforted her and turned to walk out of the room. She never looked at Kanai from beginning to end. What a strange woman. Kanai murmured as he looked at the place where Zayanan disappeared. For a long time afterwards, Kanai did not go on any missions. After finding an opportunity to give Kwan the fairy beans, he began to live a daily life lying down. Every morning, he went out to complete his daily training, accompanied Kwan in the afternoon, and accompanied Makoto in the evening. In his spare time, he tried to combine the changes in chakra attributes to develop the Rasengan series of ninjutsu, and his life was full of joy. Until 2 months later, Pin issued a call for submissions. The location was a temple somewhere on the border of the land of Earth. This was also the place where Uchiha Itachi, Sasori, and Kisame subdued Deidara in the original work. Kanai, you are late. This was the first sentence Peen said after seeing Kainai. I'm sorry, Chief. I accidentally lost my way on the road of life. Kainai patted his head and glanced at the 2 extra members of the Akatsuki organization on the side. PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 74 New Mission. One of them has dark blue hair, a shark-like face, skin color, sharp teeth, and golden pupils. A bandaged blade on his back is particularly eye-catching. Perhaps because of his appearance, he looks much older than his actual age. The other one looks more immature, even younger than Uchiha Chiya himself. He is about 12 or 13 years old. He has long dark golden hair, and his left eye is blocked by his hair, which hangs down to his face. He has a pigtail on his head, and at first glance, he is a middle school boy who is even more immature than Obito. Not surprisingly, these 2 people should be Kisame, the only one who honestly casts hand seals in the later period of Naruto, and Deidara, who likes to call out Patrick. While Chiya was looking at the 2, they were also looking at Chiya. Sumehara behind Kisame exuded a unique sense of disorder, anxiety, and excitement, which made Kisame sweat drop on his forehead. He thought to himself, what a terrifying guy. Just standing here can make Sumehara react like this. This is the first time I've seen this. The inexperienced Deidara dragged his chin and looked at Kainai up and down. He stared for a long time, but couldn't figure out what was going on. Without waiting for Peen to answer, Deidara spoke first. Hey, is this the legendary Phantom Kainai and the clan annihilating Kainai? It doesn't look that good. It has no special abilities, nor does it have a bloodline limit like the Sharingan. It's just an ordinary illusion. Is it really that powerful? As soon as these words came out, the scene instantly became quiet. Konan, Peen, Kakuzu, Sasori, Zetsu and even the newly joined Kisame looked at Deidara, as if he were an idiot. However, Deidara didn't know it yet and still looked at Kainai with disgust. Just try and you'll know. Kainai was still worried about not having a reason to use Kyokusu Jetsu on him and Kisame. Hearing this, he flicked his right sleeve and held the Zanpakuto Kyokusu Jetsu in his hand. Under the gaze of everyone, he whispered in his heart, shatter it. Kyokusu Jetsu. That's enough Kainai. Deidara just made an unintentional mistake. Don't worry about it. However, before he could make a move, Peen stopped him. Deidara's ability is the key to catching the tailed beasts in the future. And he doesn't have 5 lives like Kakuzu. If he really lets him fight Kainai, I'm afraid he won't know how he died. Chief, I was just joking with him. How could I bear to hurt this fledgling little brother? The Kyokusu Jetsu liberation ceremony had been completed, and Kainai naturally had no interest in continuing to fool around with Deidara. He put away the blade and said, hey, who are you calling little brother? The 3 words little brother were undoubtedly harsh in Deidara's ears, so his tone was not very good. Scorpion on the side couldn't sit still anymore and quickly shouted, stop it. He didn't want his teammate to die so early. Deidara still respected Scorpion very much. He turned his head away proudly when he heard Scorpion's words. The farce was over. Peen began to introduce Kainai one by one. This is Itachi's new partner, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist Village, and the second user of the big sword Sumehara. Please give me your advice. Hearing this, Kisame stepped forward politely and greeted Kainai. Kainai nodded slightly and listened to Peen say, as for the guy just now, he is Deidara, the apprentice of Inoki, the 3rd Tsuchikage of Inoki, the head of the Iwagakure village in the land of Earth. I won't say anything more. Enough of the idle chatter. Kainai, next you will accompany Scorpion and Deidara to the land of Wind to hunt down Orochimaru. At this point, Peen's Samsara flashed, and his face suddenly turned cold. Akatsuki will never allow betrayers to exist. This time, you must make sure to kill him. It seems that Obito has told Peen that I deliberately let Orochimaru go. Is this a warning to me? Kainai sneered in his heart and nodded. No problem, just leave it to me. It just so happens that I want to try out the new ninjutsu I learned. But then again, my team members are still not found. Peen nodded. This is exactly the second thing I want to tell you. The negotiations between the Hidden Mist Village and the Hidden Sand Village have come to an end. In a few days, the Scorch release Yakira will be sent to the Land of Water by the 4th Kazekage on the grounds of carrying out a secret mission. After you kill Orochimaru, take Deidara's clay giant bad to the Land of Water. Sasori and Deidara will also accompany you. There is more than enough time. Then let's go. As he said this, Kainai turned around and walked out of the temple first. Sasori and Deidara followed closely behind. Itachi, Kisame, you go to Kusagakure village. Looking at the figures of Kainai and the other two leaving, Pain said with his back to Uchiha Itachi and Hishigaki Kisame. The latter two nodded slightly, and Kakuzu said, then what about my teammates? Yours will have to wait. Pain said thoughtfully. 3 days later, in the Land of Wind, the great sand dunes of the east, the vast desert was raging with wind and sand. Kainai, Sasori, and Deidara were wearing red cloud black robes, wind chime hats on their heads, and stood in the wind and sand. Behind them, the yellow sand was trampled with 2 rows of deep footprints and a gully plowed by the leech puppet, but it didn't take long before it was buried by the wind and sand. In front of them was a depression, with a huge disc-shaped sand dune rising from the ground. Indistinctly, it seemed that a cave could be seen. This damn place is really disgusting. Apart from sand, there is still sand. Deidara complained. Don't complain, we have arrived. Scorpion tilted his head to look at Kainai. How is it? Is that stinky snake in there? I did sense his chakra. Kainai nodded. He propped up an invisible protective aura on his body surface, so that the wind and sand could not get close to him. Deidara said confidently, in this case, then you smile to blow it up. That won't work. The leader's order is to ensure that he is killed. If you blow it up like this, I'm afraid Orochimaru will immediately escape against the summoning technique. And he has already discovered us. Kainai threw a few kunai casually, and countless sand snakes immediately came out. They all wandered towards the direction of the sand dune. Not long after, the 3 of them arrived at the entrance of the sand dune. Orochimaru had been waiting here for a long time. Oh. I didn't expect that Pain would send Kainai to kill me. I thought it would be Itachi. Seeing Kainai and the other two coming, Orochimaru was a little surprised, but there was no panic on his face. I'm sorry if I don't call you a filial son, Uncle Snake. No, I should call you Orochimaru now. I'm sorry, although I have no grudge against you, but the leader has issued a killing order, so I can only ask you to die. Kainai said lightly. PS. Second update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 75 The Strongest Ninjutsu, Mouth to Mouth. Of course, if you can do it. Orochimaru licked his lips with his tongue and turned his eyes to Deidara beside Scorpion. That boy used to be in the demolition team of the Hidden Rock Village. Don't treat me like a child. Deidara roared and made seals with his hands, summoned the giant clay bird, and was about to take action. Scorpion's voice rang in his ears. You keep an eye on him in the sky. Don't let him run away. Why? Do you want to kill him with your own hands? Deidara was a little surprised. You don't have a grudge against him, right? Scorpion asked back, and then looked at Kainai again, asking for his opinion. I don't care. If you need help, just tell me in advance. Kainai shrugged slightly, and his figure flashed, retreating dozens of meters away, looking at Orochimaru with interest. If nothing unexpected happens, this guy will use the impure world reincarnation. And Deidara simply jumped on the giant clay bird and flew high into the sky. Scorpion didn't say much nonsense and directly took out the puppet of the 3rd Kazekage and said with some pride, I think you already know the strength of the 3rd Kazekage. Yes, but I like to take some of the good things I see. So I prepared some. Orochimaru made a seal with his right hand, and a coffin with the word 3 engraved on it immediately popped out from the ground beside him. The coffin opened automatically, and a figure walked out. This is. Scorpion's pupils shrank, because this figure was none other than the 3rd Kazekage who had been killed by him. The same was true for Deidara who was in the sky, and he was a little surprised and said, what is that? This is the 3rd Kazekage you killed, and I resurrected him with the forbidden technique. So, let me see whether my forbidden technique is powerful or your puppet technique is powerful. As he spoke, Orochimaru took out a kunai engraved with a talisman from his waist and stuffed it into the body of the 3rd Kazekage of the impure world reincarnation. The latter's mind immediately recovered, and he looked at Scorpion with a murderous look. Is it Scorpion? You bastard. This time, the same thing as last time will never happen. As he spoke, the third Kazakage formed seals with his hands. Sand Iron Time Rain was activated. Countless sand iron turned into black raindrops and suddenly covered Scorpion and Deidara. Even Kainai, who was far away, was targeted by it. Facing the attack of the third Kazakage, Scorpion controlled the third Kazakage puppet to create an iron wall defense. Deidara's bird wings were pierced in the sky and swayed left and right in the air. Kainai directly supported the body protection key and created a circle of protective shield on the surface of his body. Facing the intensive attack of the sand iron, he could not be shaken at all. At the same time, Scorpion controlled the left arm of the third Kazakage puppet and summoned thousands of arms to instantly shatter the third Kazakage of the impure world reincarnation. Unfortunately, not long after, under the effect of the dust of the impure world reincarnation, the latter recovered. Seeing that the battle between Scorpion and Orochimaru was in a stalemate, Deidara, who had regained his balance in the air, could no longer bear it, and threw dozens of clay spiders to cover the impure world reincarnation third generation Kazakage. With a sharp shout, he blew it to pieces. But it still had no effect, and the body of the impure world reincarnation was gradually recovering. Brother Scorpion, what is this? Why can't I kill it? Looking at the gradually recovering third generation Kazakage, Deidara controlled the clay giant bat to fly to Scorpion's side. Don't waste your energy. This is the impure world reincarnation of the second generation Hokage, which can revive the dead and control it at will. Normally, it can't be killed, and its movements can only be restrained by sealing techniques or force, or use illusions to control the caster, to cancel the impure world reincarnation. Other than that, it is almost impossible to stop it. Even killing the caster won't work. At some point, Kainai had appeared beside the two of them and gave them a science lesson. Hey, is it so perverted? Deidara looked incredulous. Haha. I didn't expect that Kainai-kun even knew this. Orochimaru was a little surprised. Kainai smiled. Of course. After all, I was in Anbu in Konoha for a year, so I know a lot of secrets. But this is just under normal circumstances. As far as I know, there are 4 ways to remove this technique. Kainai spread his right palm, and a palm-sized blue chakra ball gathered in his hand, then quickly rotated and expanded, and finally turned into a huge shuriken in a rotating state. The friction in the air made a harsh hissing sound. Scorpion, Deidara, you guys retreat first. It just so happens that I want to try a new ninjutsu. It is estimated that the power will be a bit big, so don't get you involved. As for Orochimaru, I will let you taste the inspiration I got from observing the tailed beast ball of the three-tailed Jinchuriki, and I spent nearly a month to create and perfect the technique. But I have never performed it in front of people. I know. Although Scorpion was very unwilling, he was indeed unable to defeat the third Kazakage in the state of impure world reincarnation in his current state. And Deidara was no longer as arrogant as before after seeing the spiral shuriken in Kainai's hand. Feeling the powerful chakra in the Rasen Shuriken, Scorpion and Deidara looked at each other and retreated 100 meters away. Orochimaru also had a serious expression. Although he was not a perception type ninja, his eyesight was not low. He had seen the power of the Rasengan, and now it was sublimated into a shuriken state by Kainai. Its power will definitely increase, so we must be cautious. Haha. It's really surprising. Kainai-kun, I didn't expect you to be able to learn the same technique as a fourth Hokage by observing the tailed beast ball. Not only that, you are even better than the master and transformed the Rasengan into the form of a shuriken. It's really amazing. I can't help but be tempted by your body. But it's a pity that, although this technique is powerful, it seems that it still can't stop my impure world reincarnation. Orochimaru pretended to be calm. Although he said so, Orochimaru was secretly alert in his heart. The snake-style substitution technique was ready to go. Although in his cognition, the Rasengan was a close-range attack ninjutsu like the ordinary Chidori, but he had seen Kainai's instant body movement technique. He didn't think his reaction and agility would be much faster than Kakuzu. He had to be careful, otherwise he would be caught in the terrifying spiral shuriken. He might not even know how he died. Idiot, who said I was going to use it to stop the impure world reincarnation? I just wanted to use you to try the power of this ninjutsu. But before that, you better see how I can break your impure world reincarnation. The first method is mouth escape. After the wind escape spiral shuriken was completed, Kainai's mouth corners suddenly raised a trace of cunning, and he said meaningfully to the newly recovered impure world reincarnation third Kazekage, you should be of the same generation as the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Kazekage who is known as the strongest Kazekage of all generations in the Sand Village. PS. First update, please vote for recommendation and monthly vote. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.